And we'll go from there and hope we're all together by then. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the cavalry's here. Just one little change in the agenda. We are going to move Cabrini forward tonight in the agenda. They have to be at another meeting, so rather than be postponed a whole month and everything, the agenda's pretty random anyway, so we agreed to move them up front. Before we get started, we will not be doing approval of the April and May minutes as on here because those were not sent to us with the packets. So we have to get all these minutes together and have a chance to review them before we can approve them. Okay. All right, so Cabrini, are you ready to go? Okay, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little about the project.
Okay.
And how it relates to trees.
Well, good evening. My name is Howard Holden. I'm the Capital Project Coordinator for Cabrini University. With me tonight is Rob Lambert from Site Engineering, our civil engineer. Charles Neer, landscape architect for WRT, the architectural firm working on the project with us. Eric Olson, VP of Finance for Cabrini. Brian Urey, VP of External Affairs, and Dawn Barnett, the Director of Facilities. Before you are the plans for Phase 2 of the university's master plan. Several years ago, we presented this master plan to all the township commissions, and it was granted final approval of the overall plan. We then moved forward to complete Phase 1, which was an addition to the Dixon Athletic Center. Phase 2 will include many elements of that approved plan, including a new parking structure, a loop road, vehicular turnaround areas to provide ADA compliance, as well as a more pedestrian and pedestrian-oriented campus. Lastly, the addition of a new residence hall. We're here tonight to explain the plan, its impact on campus trees, and our replanting plans, to answer your questions and to seek your approval as we move through the township processes. From the shade tree perspective, in brief, we will be removing 216 trees, replanting 430. The breakdown of the removals are 23 heritage trees, 45 19 to 29 DBH trees, diameter at breast height, and 148 6 to 18-inch DBH trees. The great majority of these trees are woodland trees, not specimens, nor in good health, and in fact, several are dead. Of the 430 replacement trees being replanted, 185 will be canopy trees. We will be placing 30 trees in escrow, given the complexity of this project. Cabrini has worked closely with Site Engineering and WRT.
Can I interrupt you for a moment?
Sure.
Normally that's somewhere here on the drawing, all the numbers that you just gave. Can you just point out to us where that is, if it's included in this package?
Yes, it is. What I gave you is a summary of three different sites. And I'll bring forward Site Engineering and WRT to go through all those in detail if you have further questions on that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if you point us to the right page, then we won't have to note all the numbers.
I think what you're saying is it's not all on one page, it's on different
Yes.
different plans. So you're giving us composite numbers.
I'm giving you the
for three
total.
different, is it plans or?
No, it's
two different plans.
Two sites,
Right.
and I mean, you'll see it on 3 different plans because the one site's so large that we can't get it all on one plan.
Okay, can we get the totals
Again?
with 2 of the sheets that are in here?
Yes,
Okay,
I just gave them to you. The totals are
No, I said, can we see the totals on 2 of the sheets on the plans here?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Could you let us know what they are? 19 and 21. How you doing? Okay, I see them. So the removals are shown here in X's on 20. Okay. 19's upside down on that. 19 doesn't seem to be showing any removals. It's showing replacements, right?
Right. 19
Okay.
is replacement.
We're going to take these and switch them all around. All right. Okay, so go ahead, Howard.
Okay. Cabrini has worked closely with site engineering and WRT through the planning process to preserve the beauty of the campus, sometimes referred to as the cathedral of trees. If any of you have been on our campus, you could appreciate that phrase. And though we're not an official arboretum, we treat the campus trees as though we are. I would like to ask Rob Lambert to step forward to explain the engineering aspects and the phasing of the project, and then Charles Neer to explain the design and plantings, and then I shall return to seek your approval.
Okay.
Those are really the pertinent sheets.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rob Lambert with Site Engineering Concepts. I believe there's 2 agenda items tonight on your agenda for us. One is an amendment to a preliminary plan, which I'll explain in about 30 seconds to you, and then the final plan, which has much more detail. As Howard explained back in, I guess it was starting in 2012, we came before the township with the master plan for the property. At that time, there were improvements proposed throughout the campus. We proposed many changes as we went through, and looking at the dates on this sheet 3 of 21, we went through 2012 and then came back to you in 2014 with an amendment to that approved preliminary plan to go into final plan. And really what that consisted of was phase 1. So the Dixon Athletic Center at the top of the page, actually to orient you, Upper Gulf is at the top of the page, Eagle Road is at the bottom, King of Prussia Road is to the right. So the Dixon Athletic Center, there was an addition to that plan.
Excuse me, can you tell us which sheet you're looking at?
This was the first agenda item, the amendment to the preliminary plan. I did not hand it out just because it's kind of an overall plan without the detail on it.
So we don't have that sheet.
You have it as part of your packet.
The big
Can you
packet.
tell us which sheet it is in the big packet? What number?
Yes, it was a freestanding sheet. It was only one sheet, but it's labeled 3 of 21.
Got it.
And so at that time, we came in with the addition to Dixon. We came to final plan for that, and that was constructed and recently completed. We are now coming for an amendment to that plan because we've modified some of the plans, some of the buildings and improvements that were shown on that plan originally. The main focus of these improvements is really creating a pedestrian core of campus and improving the student experience on campus. So we started with the Dixon Center, working from the top of the page to the bottom. Next was a proposed campus center. That was previously approved on the preliminary plan, some modifications to the driveways, making the core of campus pedestrian-oriented.
Excuse me a second. Mark, can you ask if they can focus this in a little better? I can't see it on the screen. It doesn't look like it's focused. Sorry.
No. There was a proposed parking structure on the right-hand side or eastern side of the property with a turnaround. This is a link road. On the previously approved preliminary plan, this link road actually came much further up into this parking lot, and so it actually had a much greater disturbance of the trees in this area. So we've pulled this area back. There's a turnaround on the western side, again, because the core of the campus will become pedestrian-oriented. We really needed turnarounds on either side for vehicles to be able to turn around. We have a proposed dorm, and then the southern parking structure. And
So all this is new?
all of this is on the southern parking structure was previously shown.
That's what I thought, yeah.
The pedestrian core of the campus was shown. We did not show the dorm previously. That is a new element. The parking structure moved. It was in another location, and we moved it to this location. And so we moved that around on the approved preliminary plan. It's a little bit, we're going back and amending a plan that was approved, and so I just wanted to give you the overview. This is not, everything on this plan is not being proposed currently. It's just a part of the approved preliminary plan or amended preliminary plan. What we're looking to move forward with, which is, I think, more pertinent to our conversation tonight, is a limited scope. And that's why I just wanted to go over because you do have the two agenda items. One was the overall, the next one gets into more detail.
Have trees been taken down already based on the original approval?
Yes. We did the Dixon addition, and all of the trees that were to remove as part of that approval. We came back as a final plan, came back to this
right.
committee and received approval for that. So all of those trees were removed. Those improvements are complete, and the building is operational.
What about the relocated building? Did we take down trees for
No. The only piece that we did is we brought the piece around Dixon to final, and that's the only piece that's been constructed. So now what we're doing, because the township has the two-part process, preliminary then final, now what we're doing is actually bringing the improvements that are shown on this plan. So this is sheet 3 of 26 in the larger plan set. And that's why it's a little bit confusing. One's 3 of 21, one's 3 of 26. So
And we don't have 3 of 21, just so you know.
it should be a freestanding plan buried in your packet somewhere. We submitted 36 copies of it to the township, so.
It was very kind of you.
So on sheet 3 of 26, this is now what we're proposing to bring to final plan, if that makes sense. And so the pieces that were shown on the previous plan and not on this plan are still part of the preliminary plan. It's still part of the Cabrini master plan. They're just not proposed at this time. We're phasing it. We can't build everything at once. We're phasing the construction of the project.
But the total number of trees, is that for the length of the project?
The total number of trees that Howard mentioned are for bringing this to final plan.
Bringing this what?
This final plan, which includes the eastern parking structure, this link road that we talked about, the loop road, the turnarounds, and the dorm, with the number of trees that were discussed. So that's what we're bringing to final plan right now.
If I could help clarify, this is a three-phase plan. The first phase, again, was the Dixon Center addition. This is just the second phase, is what you're hearing.
Come on up here, Howard, because everybody can't hear you.
Again, let me just talk because this doesn't have a battery. What we're bringing to you tonight is the second phase of a three-phase plan. The first phase was just the Dixon Center addition. The second phase, as I explained, is the loop road, the parking structure, the pedestrian campus, and a new residence hall. There is still a third phase, which would be a campus center. That will come at some other time. We don't, like Rob said, we don't have the funding to do the entire plan all at once.
Right.
So the trees I mentioned are just the second phase.
The trees are just the second phase?
Yes.
Okay. That was
Everything
my
you're
question.
reviewing tonight is just the second phase.
Okay. Because we have to make provisions if we approve a three-part plan, and trees removed that encompass more than the plan you're bringing in tonight.
So you've, I guess, two recommendations that you have to make tonight. One is the preliminary plan, is the amendment.
Mm-hmm.
You've already seen You've already approved the student center that was on the northern end of campus and the southern parking structure. Those were already approved. Really, the changes to that plan are the plans that are the final plan that we're going to talk about tonight. So the preliminary plan basically encompasses the final, is what it looks like. So I'm going to go through the three individual areas. So I'm going to go through the western turnaround area. We have the detailed plans, which I handed up to you, the parking structure, and the dorm in more detailed plans. Also, they each has a demo plan and then a layout plan. I'm going to allow Charlie Neer to talk about the actual planting.
So just a clarification, you're going to cover everything in the Phase 2 plan, correct?
Correct.
Yep, okay, good. Mhm. Yep.
So the first area is the western turnaround area.
And can you tell us again what sheet you're looking at? It's easier if we can follow along
Right.
with you.
So this is going to be 19 of 26. It was part of the reduced plans that I handed out.
Yep, perfect.
So this one's pretty easy. This was the demolition plan. We weren't proposing to remove any trees in this area. So I'll go to the proposed plan, which is sheet 22, which should be the next sheet in your set. Which is the proposed replacements. Because of the other areas have more tree removal, we do have a excess amount of trees, and so we'd like to use them in this area as part of our campus plan, rather than trying to put them all in each individual construction area. So you can see this includes a turnaround area where we'd be paving. This is an existing driveway coming from the left-hand side of the page. This is actually currently is a two-way driveway that comes from the core of campus. So in the bottom right is the main building on campus. There's a small existing parking area which will be eliminated in front of that building, and then you have the core of campus. So by making the core of campus pedestrian, really cars are going to stop at this turnaround. When they come in, they would have to park in here or turn around and circulate back out through the campus network of driveways. We've organized this plan in an attempt to minimize the impact on any existing trees. As Howard said, they do cherish their trees, and they do have several large trees in this vicinity. And we've organized the improvements to minimize the impact.
Why haven't you started with sheet 20? That's the removals, right?
I was going area by area, so you could see the existing and the proposed as we went through.
So there's how many, there's the sheet, just so I can relate what you're showing to the removal area, the removal thing.
Right, so sheet 19 was the project area as it exists today, and sheet 20 is what's proposed. Or, I'm sorry, sheet 22 is what's proposed. So 19, 20, and 21 are the removal plans. I was just trying to organize them so we could stay in the project area so we wouldn't be kind of bouncing back and forth.
Well, what is the broken line in the areas where the removal's showing?
That's the area of disturbance. So that line is mimicked on sheet 22, is the same, the dashed line on that plan, the large line going around the perimeter, is the area of disturbance for that project. So if you look, this line's going around, and on sheet 22, you have the proposed improvements with that line then going around.
They just don't look similar to me.
Yeah.
This is he's just doing piece by piece.
Yeah.
Jack's looking at two different sheets.
This is the first area disturbance, and now this is the replacement.
That I see. This one I don't see.
Because he hasn't gotten to that one
Yeah,
yet.
he's gonna
Right.
look at
So
Okay.
if there's any questions on the turnaround, I'm happy to go back to them, but maybe it's best to go through each area, and then we can go back to the beginning if you have any specific questions about the layouts.
Okay.
So sheet 20 is the dorm area. There's an existing dorm, Lanchie House, which will be removed as part of this project. You can see the X's show areas of trees to be removed. This large dash line is consistent on both this plan and the next sheet, which will be sheet 23 that we'll discuss, and so you can get an idea of where that is. The area down below Sullivan House on the bottom left, this area is the area for the stormwater management for the proposed dorm. So we have to provide stormwater management. We looked at lots of different areas, and this was the area that we were able to make it work. So this plan has a list in the middle that identifies the tree removals in this project area. So sheet 23 is the proposed plan of that area. You can see the dorm. It actually includes all of the room layouts just as they were doing the design of the landscape. The placement of some of the trees are important to where the windows in the dorm were. That this is the proposed dorm area. We would have a walkway, ADA accessible walkway off of the kind of the left side of the page. There's existing ADA parking spaces in that area to access the rear of the building. And then if you came through the building and out, the pathways back to campus are ADA accessible. So we do have some grading that would be beyond the area of the exact walkway to make sure that those pathways are accessible. Again, we've made every effort to minimize the amount of disturbance and trees to be removed for the construction of the dorm and also for the construction of the stormwater basin down below Sullivan House. The tree replacement list is on the right-hand side with the quantities on the bottom right. The final project area with sheet 21 shows the demolition. Again, if you came off of King of Prussia Road is well off to the right of this plan, but you would come up from the right and there's a driveway, existing driveway that you go straight toward the core of campus or left down to the residential area. So going to the core of campus, we're going to rework the vehicle circulation in this area that you're going to get to a four-way stop area here. You can go right up to the athletic facility or the Widener parking area. You could go straight to the parking structure or left down to the residential area of campus. This plan does depict the areas, the trees to be removed. There's a tree replacement or tree removal schedule or replacement schedule is on the right-hand side of the page, halfway down. So sheet 24 is the proposed plan. And so by building structured parking, it costs a lot more than surface parking. We do not have a problem with impervious surface on this campus. We could expand our surface lots. The university's made the decision to build structured parking to try to preserve as much area as they can and not have the sprawl. And so investing a substantial amount of money to create a pedestrian core of campus. All the parking spaces that are in the core of campus will be relocated to the structure, and the structure will also support the construction of the dorm for a number of spaces, and so that can be constructed in this vicinity. The area that I talked about previously was coming from King of Prussia Road. You would reach the four-way stop in this area, be able to continue into the parking structure, or you could pull up to drop off to the core of campus and pull back out. So this is where most likely their van and bus pickup will be as they have shuttle services. One of the other pieces of this project is being cognizant of ADA accessibility. If you look at the bottom of the page, you can see a switchback that is proposed. We're actually relocating some parking spaces in order to get an ADA accessible switchback in place, and that will make the dorm that's just off the right-hand side of the page fully accessible to campus. We have the switchback that will get you up to this drop-off area. You, as a person, would be able to go to the sidewalk, actually go into the building to use the elevator. I don't know if all of you are familiar with Cabrini campus. There are some grade challenges from an ADA accessible way, and I think that's a nice way to say it. We were not able to create an accessible path exterior-wise from really the dorm to the far east or some of the dorms down to the bottom of the page up to the core of campus. And using this facility actually as some vertical circulation on campus, it's going to be a building that's open 24 hours a day, and
Can I just interrupt you for a moment? Just in the interest of time, since we have so many people here, I would concentrate on the trees. I think the plan
This is going to
looks
impact
lovely.
trees. I'm getting
Okay,
there.
if you can
I'm
get
getting
us
there.
there.
I'm
Thank
getting
you.
it to you. So that allows vertical circulation, and then you'd actually come out the side of the building to be able to cut across the relatively flat area. And we are looking at the exact placement of this in relationship to the trees that are all in this area. We want to preserve them. We understand, it's a walkway. We should be able to preserve them, even if we slightly impact them by bringing that path through that area. So that's one area that we were going to look at. This is the new link road. I previously talked about bringing it much closer to the proposed improvements. The previously approved plan actually brought this driveway much further out, and so you can see all the trees that were previously being disturbed that we're actually preserving. And so we're pulling this much closer to the proposed improvements, and then there's a utility and service corral in this existing location, which basically exists there now. So if there's any questions about layout, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Charlie to talk about the tree replacements.
One question. Do you have tree protection for the area of disturbance?
I
Yes.
assume you're going to...
Yes, we have tree protection throughout all areas of disturbance. I don't remember the sheet numbers off the top of my head, but it's shown on the erosion and sediment control plan.
Okay, thank you.
Can you try to locate that sheet?
think that's what we're gonna need to
We're going
look
to need to
at.
look at that.
Yeah. But does that come up when you talk about tree removal? Charlie, is that what you're going to cover? No?
Let's see here, it would be sheets 15, 16, and 17. So if you'd like, I can run through where it's located on each sheet.
Yeah, I think what we're really interested in is the tree protection for the existing trees, because that will help us. And then I think understanding the replacement schedule. When I look at the drawings that you just referenced, I can't really make heads or tails out of the removal and how it corresponds to the replacement. The numbers
Okay.
don't seem to match, but I'm sure you have a
I'll
rationale.
let Charlie explain the replacement. So again, we've looked at trying to preserve as many trees as possible. If you look at sheet 15, and I'll try to go quickly. So along the limited disturbance line, you can see where it says install tree protection fence. It's a straight line with an X through it, and that would be the tree protection fence along that disturbance line. It's also included to the bottom right area. Around the tennis court area, there's some trees over here that we're also showing to be protected. Down along the bottom of the page, or to the left-hand side of the page, there's protecting this tree in this location, and we're protecting trees on both sides of where this disturbance will happen over on the other side by the walkway.
So is the dashed line the tree protection line? What is the,
The dashed line was the limited disturbance line, which is consistent with the other plans.
I can see it now.
It's almost coincidental in a lot of locations with that dash line, but it's a straight line with an X through it. As Howard mentioned, we are keeping 30 trees in escrow. We know with a project of this size, we may find that when we're excavating, we may find that a tree has a substantial amount of roots in the construction zone that we weren't necessarily expecting, and that tree may need to be removed. We would work with John to get approval for the removal, and we would have those trees already in escrow, knowing that that may happen. Sheet 16 of 26, starting at the bottom of the page, almost entirely around the limited disturbance for the stormwater basin is a tree protection fence. Up the east side of the access path to where that construction would be is a tree protection fence. And then as you go along the proposed limited disturbance line near Casey House, there's tree protection fence around the trees to remain. This plan also shows existing trees that are to be removed. And so some of the trees that you see are actually being removed. So the tree replacement was actually put at the perimeter of that. The reason we do it that way is because when someone goes out in the field to start installing it, that tree's going to still exist. we don't want them to, go over that line. So in many locations, the trees to remain, or the trees to be removed will actually be existing when they start putting in that fencing. So we just have to make clear where that is. And then along the tennis court area, you can see the tree protection fence in that location. And then on sheet 17, again, because of the nature and the improvements and the amount of removals that we're doing or the amount of improvements we're doing, and as a result in removals in the center, the tree protection is really along the perimeter of our disturbance line. So if you look at the right-hand side, you can see the tree protection runs all the way down our limit of disturbance. And then we get it sporadically throughout other areas where we don't necessarily have that limit of disturbance. One of the things, actually, we walked the site with John Hoschbach. One of the things we talked about is that there are certain areas that, when we're under construction, will most likely have a construction fence in addition. The tree protection might actually act as that construction fence for some of the areas, but these will be, enclosed for just safety reasons. I can turn it over to Charlie unless you have any specific questions about the layout of the fencing.
I don't.
Hi, good evening. I'm Charlie Nier from WRT, landscape architect for the project. So a lot's already been said so far, so for the sake of time, I thought what it would probably be best, based on the questions that you had before, was to kind of walk through the schedules to see what the correlation is between the demolition for the planting and then the trees that we're putting back. First, Robert. I'm simply going to be referring to the sheets that we passed out, the 11 by 17. So I'm going to start on, and again, going back to the before and afters for each of the three different areas. So I begin on sheet number 19, which is the west turnaround. As Rob just discussed, that throughout this entire area, there are absolutely no trees that are being taken down, which is fantastic news. So therefore, there's no demolition. And then for the tree replacement formula, obviously there's none. So when we go to the proposed plan, and this was mentioned before, because we're taking a lot of trees down in the other two sites, we can't fit them all in those two sites. So we're looking at trying to fit all the trees that we need to, as per the tree replacement formula, and spread them out over the three sites. So what we see in the first area over here around the turnaround, the first thing is obviously we have a fairly generous turnaround spot where we're looking to locate a number of canopy trees and understory trees. Around the rest of the perimeter, especially leading up to the driveway, around the parking lot, and even continuing to the main of campus, we have a number of canopy trees as well. On the pathways, we will be redoing the path leading up to the chapel to make it ADA compliant. Right now it's just stepping stone. And we have smaller understory trees to help frame the entrance of the chapel. The other canopy trees...
The chapel's that thing in the north there?
The chapel is right here.
Right.
This is the entrance to the chapel. And so even accessible users can park here, can come up this way, and then in, all under 4.8%. The rest of the canopy trees along the pathway here are just to try to fill in some of the open gaps in the tree canopy for right now. For the, one of the strategies that we had to try to figure out where to put the trees was to look at the tennis court. Right now, the tennis court is chain link fence. That's located over here at the north end of it. We'll see the south end in a minute for the next site. That currently has fabric wrapped around it. So we were thinking that in all areas where there's fabric wrapped around it, that on the outside of the courts, we could look to plant evergreens that would try to grow together and be maintained more as a hedge in this location. So again, there are no trees being taken out here, but the total count for the trees that we are putting back in this particular site are 39 canopy trees, 14 understory trees, and 32 evergreen trees. Moving to sheet 20,
Total of 60, 70, what's the total there? 64?
the total, no, the total should be 84.
For,
Oh, sorry, 85, 39, 14, 32. Should be 85 trees put in that location.
okay.
It's 85 of the 430. The next site is sheet 20 of 26. So Rob already mentioned the demolition. There are a couple trees that I wanted to point out, actually 4 trees that I wanted to point out to everybody right now. And that's on the north end between Lanchie House, which will be demolished, and the south end of the tennis court that we just talked about. And there are 4 trees located here that we're trying to preserve. We have it's either a chestnut or a bur oak here, a very nice beech tree. And I believe these 2 are both white oaks. Rob has already mentioned the plan for the dormitory and the access to the dorm, but there's one thing that we would like to do. Currently, there is a sort of a multi-purpose path that goes along the edge of the campus right here. When we put the dormitory in, we needed to create some type of courtyard or social space for the students to hang out. And what we wanted to do, what we're proposing, is to pull that pathway down into the courtyard and then back out again, which allows us to preserve those trees. We can also remove the asphalt path over here and use this area to help buffer the tennis courts from the dorm. The other thing that we're looking to do around the edge of the dormitory, especially over here, is to try to look at using understory trees in line with the walls so that we can preserve view sheds from the rooms out. But it gives some type of buffer from the noise that is outside if students are congregating or hanging out. The rest of the area is looking at perimeter screening really for the mansion. There are some trees here that need to be taken down, so this will open up the view to the mansion. And we're looking over time to fill that back in again, similar to the condition that we have right now.
Where's the mansion?
The mansion is right off to the side over here, sort of to the northwest. And then we have additional plantings around, but not over top of the stormwater structure. So in this area, to go through the demolition, at the residence, we have 76 trees that are between 6 and 18 inches that are being taken down, 12 trees that are 19 to 29 inches, and 10 trees that are 30 inches or greater.
Are you on page 21 now?
20.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I should have mentioned that before I got rid of the sheet. Yes, page 20 of 26 has the demolition numbers for a total of 98 trees that are being taken down in this particular site. In the planting plan that we are putting back on sheet 23 of 26, we are planting 57 canopy trees, 47 understory trees, and 48 evergreen trees. So that's a total of 152 trees going back. And for the site, the third site, which is the parking garage site that we've discussed, how we've pulled this back in to limit our disturbance versus what we had showed previously many years ago. The demolition totals for this third site, we're cutting down 72 trees that are 6 to 18 inch caliber, 33 trees that are 19 to 29 inch, and 13 trees that are greater than 30 inches, for a total of 118 trees. Again, this is another tight space to try to find room for the planting, but a similar design at the turnaround where we're looking to infill with canopy and understory trees, and then try to frame the perimeter of that turnaround with canopy trees. Also, as Rob mentioned, sort of this is a very critical intersection when you are arriving at the campus. And so we're really trying to create some type of gateway experience. And so we're looking at alley of trees leading from the intersection to the turnaround, and then also from the intersection back up into the parking lot. And that alley of trees is especially important when we look at trying to screen the parking structure from the neighbors that are off to the side more than 600 feet away. There already is the existing woodland area over here, so we really have sort of 3 lines of perimeter defense to help screen the garage. or the structure, and that structure is buried into the hillside itself. So it's only about 5 feet out of the ground in this corner. The first is that we want to look at this area over here to the northwest of the road, and we want to try to infill as many openings as we can, especially with evergreen trees. The second layer is the alley of trees along the road, and the next layer are evergreen trees as well as understory trees planted in groupings between the roadway and the garage itself. Along the accessible route that we are designing leading up from the dormitories up to the turnaround and then up to the main campus, we have several different mix of canopy and evergreen and understory trees through here. And I'll say that of the species list, all trees come from the township's approved list, so there's hopefully should be no problems there. The total tree replacement for this particular site are 89 canopy trees, 41 understory trees, and 63 evergreen trees, for a total of 193 trees. So between the 3 sites, 85, 152, and 193, we are planting the 430 trees on campus. And as Howard mentioned, 30 of those trees are really in escrow right now.
And it appears that you're also compensating for dead and hazard trees as well, it looks like, by a quick tally?
Yes, the 30 trees that we have right now, we have, some of them are just extras to provide cushion in case we counted wrong. We've got a good dozen or so for that. And then we have counted 4 trees right now that are considered dead by our arborist report, but we're treating them as if they were live trees right now. Of those 4 trees, 3 of them are over 30-inch. So of course the 6-to-1 ratio here. So I believe we have 19 trees that were actually as if we were treating those dead trees as live trees right now. So the amount extra for the planting and the dead trees is what equals the 30 additional trees that we can use for escrow. And if we ever need to do any more, our strategy is to keep trying to infill over here. Obviously, we want to be friendly neighbors here. So this is our site for any additional plantings.
Any further questions?
I think the one thing I would add that would be helpful, and I think maybe could just be part of the meeting minutes, I don't think you would have to come back, is just a summary. I understand what you did, and I think it's nice the way you laid out one removable page with the second page being the replacement. That's really helpful. And I get that the math doesn't all add up for those 2 pages, but it does in summary, which is great.
Right.
I just think if we could just have one page that shows that summary, that would be super.
Robert, can we have a form by Friday?
Yeah.
And then if you could also, just one more thing, divide it into the way that the calculation works. So for instance, it's the canopy trees we want to see. Does that match up with the ones that you're taking out? And then everything else would just be grouped under other. And then that would show, yep. Yeah, that's perfect. Yes?
Is there time for public questions or opportunity for that or not?
I think we would, a public comment later, we could do that.
Will we be able to ask questions of them later?
I don't believe that's, we've never done that. Yeah, okay, yeah, when they're finished, okay? And before we'll vote on this, when you're finished, are you finished as far as your presentation goes?
Yes.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, come on up, ma'am.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Come on up.
My name is Julianne.
Come on up. Because you have to be heard on the,
It'll be very quick. I'm here for something else, but I wanted to ask a couple of questions. On the canopy trees on the diagram, they're showing us very close together.
I'm just wondering, when you calculate the number of trees, do you calculate for when they're mature and whether they have enough space to grow and develop? Secondly, the 30-inch trees that you're taking down, the 10 of them, I'm wondering if you could show where they are and whether that makes a difference to the development or the plan, because 30-inch trees are a lot more significant than some of the smaller trees. And then the diagram that you had of the circle in front of the building, there appeared to be, from the way it was diagrammed, a very large tree. And I'm just wondering if that was representative of the age of that tree and why that particular tree is being removed. And that's all. Thank you very much.
So, now, I'm sorry, which turnaround were you?
No, the one I'm asking about. Yes, there is a circle on your, well, that's not the diagram.
So this is the sheet 19 of 26. It was the western turnaround area.
Well, you're not removing any. It's the one that you're removing, the large tree.
Maybe if we try sheet 20?
Yes. On that, I'm not sure if that's the one that there's, you know, there, oops. What I'm just asking really is the size of trees that are 30 inches or more, where are they located, and do you really have to remove those particular ones? That's really, I can't tell.
Right.
So a lot of the trees, and I won't go one by one in sake of time, but the symbol on the plan is indicative of the size. And so you can see that there's, you know, several larger trees. And this tree, for instance, is basically in the center of the footprint of the building. It wouldn't be practical to be able to adjust to remove or save the trees. We've looked at it, you know, very in depth. One thing I failed to mention was that in 2012, we actually had an arborist go through, do an inventory of the trees in all the project areas. We updated that as part of this submission, so as part of your packet, you should have actually received an updated spreadsheet of all the trees, condition, size, and species.
I think what she's asking about, though, if you stay on that sheet, sheet 20, are the 10 canopy trees, those over 30 inches, being removed. So I think if we just look at the border, where are any of those 10 trees near the border? If they're in the center of the plan, then it's probably understandable they have to be removed. But if there's any like that are right towards the black line.
I would say this one off to the right-hand side
Yeah. Okay.
is close to that black line, and then flipping to the next page, it would fall into approximately the location, you know, right in this location. And there's grading constraints to be able to get the walkway in for ADA accessibility. And really, it was the overall impact to that tree. It wasn't necessarily that there was an improvement right there. If anything, I think that we're trying to save more trees than not saving trees. We've really tried to limit our limit of disturbance line, our impact of the trees. We also have to worry about the long-term health of the trees. And so we've really tried to condense our construction. I'm sure the contractors will give us a hard time that we haven't given them enough space, but we'll have that fight later.
Yeah, I think if you look at this footprint here, the footprint with the patio takes almost not more than probably 90% of that space.
Correct.
Just hard construction. And then there's going to be so much construction in those surrounding areas there that tree protection would, first of all, would probably prevent you from even doing the construction if you try to put tree. So basically that whole area is inside of the area of disturbance there. I don't see how anything could be protected in that.
To me, it looks possible, but maybe I'm being over-optimistic. Matt's shaking his head, no, you don't
No, I
think
mean,
so,
I was
Matt?
on the site today, and a lot of
Okay.
these larger trees are in some states of disrepair.
That's
They're,
fair.
you know, some of them are without top canopy.
Okay.
I mean, maybe if you spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with rearranging the construction and
It's
elaborate tree protection and you'd have to reorient all the construction vehicles and everything. So.
And they cite on that map, if you look, if you just pull your page up a little bit, those trees that you're trying to save, you've already made that case. I mean, by my standards, you've looked for opportunities to save the biggest trees you can.
You have to remember, as a consultant, one of our bosses, the client, was an integral member of the Shade Tree Commission and pushes us, challenges us to save as many trees as possible.
I agree, but unfortunately, we can't give you a free pass.
No, I understand. I understand fully, but you can see where
I believe you.
We've worked on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then do you want to go to the next drawing, 21, and do the same exercise? So it's just looking at the border lines and identifying where there are any large trees, 30 inches or greater, that are right near.
So on the border line, we really don't have any larger trees or very few larger trees. Some of the larger trees we talked about, we're actually showing as saving, and we've talked about trying to work that path around, maybe it doesn't go up here, maybe it comes down a little bit further, but that's one of the details that we're really going to be working on to preserve as many of the trees as possible. Again, I'm just visually looking at the plan at the size of the circles, which are indicative of the 30-inch ones, and you can see a lot of them are right in this general vicinity, which is smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, I would agree.
John, you walked this area, right?
That's correct. I did the original
Right.
2012.
2012, before you started working with the township.
And had you seen these plans when you did that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, you don't get a free pass, but you get a pass, as far as I can see. Looks like a beautiful job of planning, and I don't see any problems with it, really. So if there's no other questions, we'll call the motion. All in favor of approving the Cabrini proposal?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Great, thank you.
thank you.
And just to be clear for the minutes, that would be for both agenda items, correct?
Well, one agenda item was just review of the master plans, which I think was just informational, and then the real agenda item was review of Phase 2.
There are actually two official applications. One is an amendment to the preliminary plan, and then the second one is the final plan.
But we saw all the tree work for both of those, right?
Correct. Correct. That's what I said. I believe it's a semantical piece, but I believe that your vote would cover both, or reasonably cover both, or should
Yeah.
cover both.
Let the record show it covers both.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure you understand, I am holding their feet to the fire.
Okay.
We do.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay. Okay, I think we're back to Villanova again, right? 601 County Line Road. Nobody's had enough of Villanova yet. I mean, we've had enough of Villanova, now we've had enough of Cabrini, now we'll go to Villanova. Let's see. It's easy to get those two mixed up.
Not far apart.
Not far apart, they used to be sort of like
down the
men
street.
women's thing.
Right, right.
All right, so 601 County Line Road. Do we all have that? It might be in last month's. Were you in last month's?
We were on last month's agenda, that's right.
I'm not really sure. We don't have the person to put together the plans here. Did anybody find the 601 County Line Road there?
Looks like one of yours.
Okay. I don't know why I'm not sure. Last ones. Got it. Okay.
All set?
Yep.
Great, thank you for having us. My name is Mark Morphy. I'm a landscape architect with Pannoni Associates. Here on behalf of Villanova, Joe Ungaro with the university, who's the project manager, is here as well tonight. And we're here with respect to the conference center that the university owns and operates. It's about a mile west of the main campus on County Line Road. It's now been rebranded the Inn at Villanova University, and we're here with respect to a grading permit for some work that's being done on the property. And this is it's about a 40-acre campus, and what the university is doing is adding 2 relatively small paved areas to the rear of the facility, just as part of the sort of public.
You on sheet one?
Yeah,
Sheet
this
one
is
here?
on yes,
CO1?
the first sheet, which is
Okay.
the overall plan of the
Right.
of the campus. This next sheet shows both areas. I'll mention that there are no trees that are being impacted by this project. There are no trees that are being removed or in the immediate vicinity. Behind the mansion, there's a small patio that's being added off the back. This is a retaining wall. This is on a higher level off of the side of the building. These trees and the landscape surrounding are about 4 feet lower, so they're on a lower level. The ground slopes away from the building in all directions, and this retaining wall sort of maintains this higher level. It's now a grass area, and they're paving that just to make it more functional as part of the operations of the facility. The other area is a walkway area. It's behind the conference center. There's a stone walkway that comes all the way back in this direction. For some reason, one area of the walkway was left as grass, so this is a grass area. Again, there's a retaining wall all the way around it, which separates it from the surrounding landscape. So a paved walkway is being added to that area so that it's a continuous paved surface that people are walking on. We were here 2 months ago at the May meeting, and we were asked to return with a little more information on the plans regarding the trees that were in the surrounding vicinity of the areas and some of the tree protection fencing, which is shown on actually the third and the final sheet. In association with the new paved areas, we're adding a stormwater infiltration trench for groundwater recharge. So this will intercept downspouts from the roof of the building and infiltrate that water. So the work zone is this area and this area. What we're showing is a pathway that the contractor equipment would enter the work zone. We don't believe there's any trees in the immediate vicinity that would be jeopardized. Nevertheless, we're showing tree protection fence around the trees that are closest in both areas. This circular walkway, the access would be from this side. These areas are basically unmanaged landscape areas. There are not specimen trees in either zone, so we would have a tree protection fence along the edge of that so the contractor would be able to access the work zone. And we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I noticed Steve Schreiner, his company was on site a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, planting trees down on County Line Road, or Massapequa Road.
Yes,
Is that part of this project?
There is some landscaping work that's going on, it has been going on also on this site. It's not directly related to the work that's the subject of this application, but it is going on simultaneously to beautify some of the perimeter of the property that you'd see from the surrounding roadways.
Okay, so basically you're using the tree protection fence along with the retaining wall to protect the trees?
That's correct.
Yep. Looks good.
looks satisfactory to me.
Yeah, I think it looks good. Oh.
So, yeah, good job.
Great. Thank you very much.
I think we just needed to see the tree protection. It's the only thing that was missing last time. Okay, no
Very
trees
good.
are coming down. Tree protection's there. Any other questions?
No?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to Villanova, the pavilion renovation. Please introduce yourself. Let us know what we're looking at here regarding this plan.
My name's Karen McManuels. I'm with the Associated Engineering Consultants, civil engineer on the project. Matt Nelson, the landscape architect, is also here tonight. So this is, there's a renovation project going on for the pavilion. If you're familiar with Villanova, Lancaster Avenue runs here. This is Ithan Avenue.
Can you
This
just tell
is
us
the
what
pavilion.
sheet you're on, so we'll follow along?
Yes, we're on C01,
Okay, thanks.
which is the overall campus plan. So this is the pavilion renovation here. Currently along Ithan, there's an entrance in here, a road entrance in here that goes up and around the building to a parking lot in the back.
Are you on a detail now? Are you on another page now?
I was gonna go to the plan that shows what were the improvements, and then I'll come back to what exists now and
Okay,
explained.
just let us know if you can which plan you're on so we can follow you with the sheets.
So I'm going to go to drawing C2-1.
Okay.
Okay. So again, this North Ithan Avenue. This is an entrance road that comes into a drive down and goes around the building. Currently, right now, you come down here, and the main entrance into the building is down low. So part of the renovation, what they'd like to do is they're creating this nice new entrance that's a story above, so you're not kind of going down in the pavilion. And as part of that, we're creating a nice plaza area that's going to lead up to it, and there's some nice seating area that's off in the grass area. This is a grading permit application. So I'm going to go back to C11.
So what you're doing here is you're building an elevated, can you go over that once more, what you're doing there?
So this is the existing plan. Currently, the way you enter the main entrance in the building down here, you're kind of coming down, and you're going down like a story to get to the doors.
Right.
So now we're going to come off of Ithan, and we're going to come up. We're raising the grade here to come up to...
Oh, you're raising the grade,
an
you're not building like a ramp or anything?
No, we're
Okay.
raising the grade there.
Okay.
So we're building it up to bring it up. Currently, right now, there's like a utility, there's a transformer and a generator sitting there, so that's being relocated. It'll be filled in, and then a plaza will be built up here, and then seatings. So as part of that, we're removing some of these are smaller trees, less than 6, but we are removing 5 trees that are between 6 and 18 inches. So we're removing 5 trees in the area here.
Is that your total removal, or is that just
Yeah,
part of
that's
it?
the total removal, is the 5 trees. I should mention also, in the back of the building, they are creating, you'll see that there's a small tree being removed back here, and the one 6-inch is back here. They want to create a VIP entrance. So there's parking. We're removing asphalt and putting pavers back to make it a nice, more grand entrance for a VIP. And there's going to be landscaping added back there.
And that's included in the 5?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And do you have the size of those trees? The size of them?
They're between 6 and 18, so the plan does call out the sizes.
Okay.
There is one 6 back here. That's a 14-inch. I have to see. So there's like a 5-inch there, a 5-inch, 10, 5,
Okay.
4, they're out there. I can have Matt show you the proposed landscaping plan. It's nice and colorful.
Hello, my name is Matthew Nelson. I'm with Socorro Wells Appel, the landscape architects on the
Can you
building.
speak up a little, sir?
Matthew Nelson with Socorro Wells Appel,
Okay.
landscape architect. Okay, so Karen just walked us through, this is kind of an enlarged view of the main entrance plaza that she was mentioning. And then down
What page are
here-
you on?
I'm sorry, this is L3.0.
L?
L3.0, this is the planting plan.
Okay, thanks. L.3.0.
Yes.
Okay, so yours is color coordinated. Go ahead.
We overlaid some color for clarification. So this is not showing any removals, this is just showing all proposed trees. And we're also showing a schedule up here similar to what Karen was just speaking about. So the purple trees shown here are all canopy, part of the replacement for the 6 to 18-inch diameter at breast height trees that are being removed. So we have a total of 16 canopy trees being proposed. You can see this orange color are the transplanted trees. Anything under 6 inches that we're removing, we tried to focus on transplanting them if we could, as opposed to just removing them outright. There were some nice trees in this space, so we are transplanting 7 trees. So we have 3 hawthorns at 5 inches, 2 magnolias, and 2 red maples.
Where are those? The ones you're transplanting?
So the orange. So we
Okay.
have 1, 2, 3 hawthorns up in the lawn area. At the main entrance plaza, we have 2 magnolias, and then at the VIP entrance, we have the 2 red maples being transplanted, and we're putting them in the parking islands. And then the green is just the existing trees to remain that are shown in this view. Most notably are these 3 mature eastern white pines that we're kind of utilizing as part of the design of this lawn space. There's some bench seating elements in this lawn, and we saw these trees as an opportunity to utilize the shade in that space. So we're saving those trees, and we're gonna we kind of worked the plaza around them, in fact. Any questions?
No, look, it looks great.
Accommodations for the transplanting trees if they don't make it?
Accommodations for them?
If they don't make it?
Yeah, well, we work them in with these big shrub masses along the perimeter. So, yeah, if they don't make it, it's kind of on the edge. But you're right, back here, we would have to replace those trees if they died. So.
We were just having a side conversation over here, just looking at the tree replacement schedule, that you're already planting more trees than are required. So even if the transplants didn't work out, you're already covered.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And do we need any tree protection here?
That's what I was just looking at for the 3 big trees that you're retaining, where the seating area is.
So yes, we do have tree protection. It is on C13.
You point it out, please. C13.
So these are the trees that we're protecting. So there's a line that's going around the trees to protect that grouping of trees and that single tree.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from the panel?
No, it looks good.
Okay. Villanova Pavilion project. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next one is just dirt.
Sorry for the delay. We're working on 2 big packets, one from last month, one from this month, and it's tough to keep it all organized, even disorganized.
Don't have a plan.
We can give you one of ours
All right.
Your 454 Ivenery?
You might not need to.
because it's just dirt removal.
It's not even going to be dirt removal.
Oh, dirt.
There
It's
are
a deck
no
patio. Are you 454 Ivenery? Okay, and your name?
William Brady.
William Brady, okay.
Okay, that should stop.
And
Yeah.
I'm going to be, you want me to put up here?
If you don't mind.
Okay, I've got that one.
Last minute.
That's okay.
Well, as you can see, there's no trees on the property.
That's
I'm
easy.
I'm
And
just
I
still
think-
waiting to see.
I think this is just a formality.
push it.
I'm putting a pool in.
It's for the soil excavation.
Yeah, but the dirt that's being removed is just going to be graded out on the property. We could actually use it.
Yeah, so
I'm-
you're just here for grading and soil, right?
Yes.
And there's no trees on the property.
No, sir.
So we had really, I thought we had agreed we wouldn't even have people come in this situation.
I wish that
If
was
there's no
true.
trees, and we, you know,
That was discussed, and we are spearheading that going forward.
Okay.
okay,
We just didn't get there in time, clearly.
yeah. Well,
Sorry,
thank
I'm
you for
sitting.
coming, and waiting through all this.
Thank you. I think we have a few more like that.
All right,
941.
941 Academy Lane. Hello?
Yes, sir. My name is Jack Robinson. I'm the engineer for this project, located 941 Academy Lane, which is a horseshoe-shaped road off of Bryn Mawr Avenue. We have a proposed dwelling on a lot, and I guess maybe to start, I'm not sure how many of you were here in 2007, but
None of us.
this was actually this plan has been through the years, been brought through here, and this actually was approved back in 2007, so you'll see a number of revision dates. Actually, the Shade Tree Commission approved this in '08 before, but since then, the economy, as you probably know, slowed down, so the house never got built. So now we have a builder here for this property, and this is the revised plan since that date. The same number of trees are being removed, but the replacement requirements went up a little bit, so we've revised the plan as such. We have 8 trees removed, and due to that, we have 22 replacement trees. The trees to be removed are just in the building pad only area. That's a very narrow, tight lot. And there are a few trees to be protected, I'm pointing to.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yes, sir.
So 8 trees are removed,
Yes, sir.
and it looks like on the plan it's not showing the dimensions of those trees. Does it show it somewhere, it shows it someplace else? So.
Yeah, there's on the tree removal chart, to the, let me slide it over there. The right side of the plan. There's the species and size.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
And is that from the original plans?
Actually,
Have
we went
those
out.
dimensions changed?
Yeah, we actually went out and updated it with since 2007.
Those are updated
Yeah,
inches?
correct.
Just under the wire, but they're all nice trees.
And these trees are already removed? Or they're
Yeah.
to be removed?
You know, we went out and verified them, that they are still to be removed. I had thought at one point they actually had been by the last builder, but they weren't. So
Okay.
they're still to be removed.
That's how they can measure them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John, have you been out here?
And the proposed trees are, as you can see, the majority are in this lot is hard to even see off the road. But we have a number of deciduous trees that go around the pond that are proposed, and the evergreens are to the rear to buffer the lot that's behind this. So there's a row of evergreen.
So the footprint of the proposed, there's nothing, no building there at all, right?
Correct.
So this to the right, proposed single dwelling, that's the footprint of the building, right?
Yes, sir.
So you're taking all these other trees out because of grading, or?
Yes. Well, they're in the building pad area and in the grading area. The grading area is very narrow. That is, we're only grading the minimum amount that we have to.
Your whole plan isn't showing up there. Okay, so to the right there is the proposed building, right?
Yes, this is the proposed building.
Okay. And what's that open space where it says Lot 7 there? What's that open space there?
That's a pond.
A pond?
Yes, sir.
And Jack, the slope is very steep from the proposed building to the pond.
Uh-huh.
Because there's silt fencing and there's some kind of fencing or silt fencing up now, right? Like, I thought I saw that today.
Yeah. So I guess there was some things done by the builder from years ago, and then things just stopped. So there may still be some.
The pond's
from
going to
before.
stay, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's a man-made pond that's been there for a long time, actually.
Okay. So I thought you had said in the beginning that the trees were in the footprint, but they're not.
The trees to be removed are in the footprint. So there's smaller. You'll see small tree symbols that are with a grayscale, almost like a plus sign. Those are the trees to be removed, and those trees all reside within the building footprint and driveway area.
Okay, because I was looking at X's through those are replacement trees with the X's.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. All the circles with
Okay.
the small pluses are the deciduous replacement trees. So the trees to be removed are muted on this plan, but they're within the building footprint area.
Okay, and the construction access is coming in?
No, this driveway is actually already built.
Okay.
So the construction access is where my finger is. The long driveway portion of the driveway is already built for the house and to the rear. So this is the construction entrance right here. It's actually only a small portion of the driveway to be built.
My question would be, some of the trees that are going to be removed are inside the riparian buffer, which is marked with the dotted lines. And
No, they're all outside of that, I believe. Riparian buffer is
see
along here.
the trees with the circles with X's.
They're proposed trees.
Proposed trees.
Yes, we have proposed trees within the buffer, yes.
Yeah, that's confusing. Those are plans.
Those are all
They
proposed
just have
trees.
X's in them, that's all. So we always think X's is taken out.
Yeah. The shaded plus sign, if you can see the one that I'm pointing to, that's what's to be removed, the shaded sign.
Okay.
This is a very old plan. This is not our normal drafting standards. It's a very old plan in a CAD file, so we've been working with it. This is not our normal standard, I'll be honest with you.
Can you point out, okay, so can you point out the trees that are being removed so we can just be
right.
clear?
Pointing to the one right here, 2, 3, they're all within the building area, the one by the topsoil stockpile, one down slope here. So they're all within this
So those
footprint area.
They're kind of Xed out, those ones.
Yeah, they're with a smaller symbol.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody, a little confusing, because the X's on the ones they're planting are bigger than the X's you can't see on the ones that are taken out.
So the formula, I think, you showed 22 tree replacements, and it should be 24. If you look on your tree calculation, you have one tree 6 to 19 inches. That should be 6 to 18 inches. So all trees being removed fall under the second category, 19 to 29 inches, and that's 3 trees per each tree removed.
3 trees for 19, for 19 to 29.
So all trees being removed are in that 19 to 29 category. So that should be 8 trees being removed, 3 trees per removed tree. So 3 times 8, 24.
So it's 6, but you're saying it's 6 to 18, the range is for one tree is 6 to 18?
6 to 18.
Oh, okay, and we have 6 to 19.
Correct.
Okay. Well, we can certainly add 2 more, along the front of the pond here. It's not like we're short on space. We can certainly add 2 more trees.
Okay.
Okay, so then you'll have to show, when you don't have to come back to us, but you're going to have to redo the plans to show those additional replacements.
That's not a problem
2
at all.
more?
2 more.
2 more.
We can do deciduous if that's okay.
Okay, so then
They have to be canopy trees.
Yes, correct.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and the tree protection,
Yeah, we have that on the trees that are downslope of the driveway. There's protection around those trees are the nearest ones.
where's that?
I'm pointing at the screen. Right here, they have circles. There's a circle around the existing tree with an X, and that's our tree protection.
Okay.
See.
Hey, John?
What about the 3 pine trees there to the right of the ones you're showing with the tree protection?
By the driveway.
Yeah, we could add protection. We thought we were far enough away. I mean, we could add protection.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, you should have that, because that's near the construction.
Okay.
Following us, John, on that?
I consider that. That's not a problem.
Especially if you're going to be bringing construction vehicles in there, that more than the other ones.
And, the tree protection, where's do you have the tree protection on your chart here?
You mean the detail?
Yeah.
Yes, that's on sheet. We have 3 sheets this plan set. That's on sheet 2. The Rockwell detail. Is that what you're referring to?
Because we would know normally that was tree protection, those little circles around the circle there. Normally, tree protection has a more recognizable detail to it.
Well, the applicant's here, and he is well aware of what needs to be done. We can bold that more if you like, but he's well aware of the trees. They're all along the western side of the property.
Would you like to see better, Mark, would you like to see better tree protection more defined on this plan?
We need to have it defined. We can approve it tonight, but we need to
Right.
define plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think you need to
Okay.
add it to your legend
You
and
need
then
to have
show
a-
it.
Right, you need to have a key to
It's-
show that what specifically is identified as key protection.
Yeah.
Usually it's those kind of lines with little X's through them or
It
something.
is on the legend, actually. It says orange, and then I know it's hard to see because of the scale, but if you look at the circle, there's an X. It's only one X though.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. I mean, we can modify.
Yeah, so just.
This CAD, it's hard to explain, but this CAD file is this is CAD system we even use now. But this CAD file is almost 20 years old.
You're right.
And, this is not my normal standard, so I can,
Right.
but I will address that.
Okay. Right, because when our inspectors are following up,
Yeah, I can't see it.
they can't
Yeah.
tell what's what there, and they'll come out and they wouldn't know that was tree protection, and it should be
Right.
there.
Well, we can make that adjustment as well.
Okay.
So we'll adjust
So all
that and
the
add
tr-
those two
just the
trees.
So you're going to add the tree, so the stipulation is, as we vote for approval, that the 3 pine, the 3 evergreens will have tree protection. The tree protection will be better defined
The legend.
and keyed on the legend, right? And 2 additional plantings will be shown on the plan and on the replacement totals.
Yes.
And there'll be canopy trees.
Yes.
Got that, everybody?
Yep.
I have one last question.
Yeah.
And it may not be, it may be an appropriate question, but I'm asking anyway. Is a riparian zone a floodplain? Because you can't do anything in a floodplain. You couldn't plant trees in a floodplain. And if they're planting trees in a riparian buffer, my feeling was a riparian buffer was no man's land for this kind.
Buffer is a corridor of a stream.
So that's a floodplain.
Actually, DEP encourages you to plant trees.
Yeah.
They
Okay,
encourage that.
that's all I
Yeah.
needed to know.
You want
Yeah.
it to stabilize it.
Yes. That's kind of a new
Right.
thing.
Yep.
They like that.
That's a good thing, yeah. All right, any other questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a matter of how much. If it's a certain amount, we have to still see them. It's not just any note, it's the amount of soil. What, I don't remember, and that was, and Steve knew about that. We decided to let people pass if there was a certain amount of, what's the normal amount of soil? 300. And what was our new minimum for that?
We're going for it being marked from full plan prior,
Yeah.
because we have somebody at the end of the night, you know, who. So me and Mark are going to start pulling going forward.
Yep.
Anybody that doesn't have any trees, just throw it full wall, and then give you
Right.
a verbal report.
But we're still going to, if there's a lot of soil, we still need to look at it.
That's correct.
And there's trees. So right now, it's 300 cubic, right? So on these plans tonight, is there anybody here just for soil? And how much? Huh?
Do you have trees on your site that are being impacted or being removed? Knowledge, what are the sizes?
What's your, go ahead. What's your address? 409 Oak? Were you here for last month? For last month?
Yeah, second page.
409 Oak.
And they're being removed because you're switching the driveway from one side of the house to the other. That's to try to save a huge sycamore.
Okay, so that doesn't fit into this because you're doing tree removals. Okay, so that doesn't fit. We're just talking about people here just for soil. They're not removing, if it's just soil, you're not removing trees. So there's nobody else that applies to.
Go ahead.
You know.
And what's your address? Okay, give us one moment. Okay, so 450 cubic yards left on site,
What's the address?
683.
Were you on last month?
I was last month.
They're H on the agenda. And you don't have any trees being removed?
No.
683 curb stop. How much soil again?
450.
And there's no trees on the property?
Oh, there's trees on the property, but none to be removed.
They're demoing an existing facility and putting a
Oh,
new
no, yeah,
facility right on
we gotta
top.
look at that. Because the trees could, well, we could only exempt if it's just soil and there's no trees to be impacted.
Oh, no, I got a lot of tree protection.
Yeah. Okay, so we have to take that. So let's get going, because we're spending more time. 560 Sproul Road. Were you last month?
Yes, we were. All right, I'm Brian Madsen from Omni. We're the engineers for the project. This project is for the new proposed STEM building at the Academy of Notre Dame campus. As you may recall, we presented this project back in January during the final land development process. The plans that we're looking at tonight were submitted as part of the grading permit application. The only change regarding tree removals or replacements has to do with the proposed number of tree plantings. If we look on page 3 of the plans, the proposed trees to be removed have stayed the same. The proposed site layout has essentially stayed the same as the final land development plan. What the school would like to propose is that for the tree replacements, 84 total are required, 50 of them being large canopy. What they would like to do is they would like to plant a total of 51 trees, with 30 of them being large canopy, and then to donate the remainder of the trees to the township. So that's really the main change since the land development plan.
Now, did we approve your plan last time?
Yes.
So you're back for what reason?
We're back basically for the grading permit and to discuss
the changes.
The change of donating a portion of the replacement trees.
Now, you're talking about donating funds? That's normally the best way to do it.
Either way, yeah.
So it has to be $500 per tree.
Which will be provided in escrow.
Okay, so you want to give us the new figures?
Yes, so it's proposed to plant a total of 51 trees.
Plant 51.
30 of them will be large canopy.
Can you repeat that, Brian?
It's proposed to plant a total of 51 trees, with 30 of them being large canopy. The remaining 33 trees would be donated to the township.
So it's 33 times 500?
16,500.
Okay. And there's nothing else changing in the plan?
That's correct.
So that we approved this before with the full number of replacements, the 84 replacements?
Yes.
And you just figured that you can't put them in? You can't fit them in, or?
Right, they were looking at keeping the landscaping in the area of the project.
And where's your landscape plan? Did you change that?
I have it here if you'd like to look at it.
Well, if you just put it up for us, so we can, I don't think we'll have a problem with it, but just so we can take a look at what we had before. Do we have is the old landscape plan on here? Because we got everything here.
I don't believe that when we were here last, the landscape plan had been
Maybe that
developed
was,
yet.
Well, we wouldn't approve anything if you either didn't have the landscape plan or a plan to bring it into the township. Sometimes we approve, bringing it into the township later. Because that's where you got in other words, that was the basis for you to decide you didn't have enough room for that, to implement that plan.
Right.
So it had to be in existence.
Why would they do a landscape plan on file?
This is dated June 28th.
Okay, and what's the number, we don't have that, right? What you're showing there?
Brian, do we have the
No,
drawing
this
that you're
plan is
showing?
not in your set.
But this basically shows the 51 trees that you're going to plant and 30 being large canopy?
Correct. So
Okay.
the new replacements, the large circles are the proposed replacements. The smaller dots are the existing trees. So landscaping plan is providing new trees around this is the emergency access way for the new STEM building. So they're screening the access way with a combination of the proposed trees.
Well,
within the
we're supposed to
existing
have a
trees.
detail of the trees that you're replacing, what species they are, what DBH you're putting in, the location, and to be able to look at the species and the numbers to make sure the right number of canopy trees and the right species are in there. And that, we don't have that, right?
All right, that's correct.
That isn't on sheet 3?
Sheet 3 shows the tree replacements, or it shows the tree removals as well as what's required for the replacements. The proposed planting schedule is on the landscape plan, which I don't believe is in your set.
But you have it there, right?
Correct.
So, does it make sense that we can?
Yeah, we could look at it.
That's
We
what
could
I
look
would
at it.
do.
We could have John, if we like it preliminarily, then John can take a look at it.
Yeah.
You'll take a look at it tomorrow on site? Okay. Anybody want to take a look at this plan?
No, if John's okays it, I'm all right.
Anybody else want to look at his plan? Okay. We could see it up there.
We will need you to note the big tree fund that you're donating to it and some plan somewhere, or the memo of what.
All right.
All right, so if we approve this, it's contingent on Brian's supplying the township with a landscape plan showing the plantings, the species, the caliper of the trees that are going to be planted, that to fall within the approved list. Don't put any ashes on there. You know that, right?
Yes, it does not look like any, there are no ashes proposed.
Okay. And what's the other thing?
The 16,500.
Right,
Note
okay, and then,
that on the drawing.
then
or
you
on the
have to
memo.
put a commitment, you're gonna put 16,500. Does that doesn't have to go, that comes right to us, doesn't have to go into escrow, does it?
We want to have it in writing in the memo.
Right.
So that they file it, for sure.
Okay,
They'll handle that.
right. But they don't have to put an escrow at that point, or do they? Okay. Because I keep hearing escrow brought up, so.
Not really escrow.
Right, yeah. Okay?
All right.
All right, so,
Good.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right,
Good
Thank
luck.
you.
One 127 Pine Tree Road.
Good evening, my name is John Smirga, I'm the engineer for the applicants.
Good evening.
This project shows the demolition of an existing garage at this location and the construction of a new addition, including a new garage. The raising of the existing driveway and the installation of a new driveway coming out to Pine Tree Road in a different location. This was brought before the Board of Supervisors for a waiver of the stormwater ordinance, allowing us to net the driveway that's being raised from the total square foot area, and that was permitted. There are 6 trees being impacted, actually 8. 2 are very small. They're small ornamental trees that are going to be relocated, but there's 6 trees on the site, and I have them listed right here. There's a 30-inch maple, a holly, an oak, a locust, and 2 firs that are in the footprint of the new driveway.
Now, what you're showing there, that's not on our sheet, is it?
No, this tree removal is not on your sheet. It will be, though. I will add this to the drawing.
Okay, so I'm just going to add that now. Give it to me again. Tree removal, right? What are they?
It's a 30-inch oak.
30-inch oak.
18 maple, a holly, an 18 holly, a 20-inch oak, a 14-inch locust.
Hold on. 18-inch oak?
Yeah, no, 18-inch holly.
And an 18-inch oak, right?
And an 18-inch oak.
Okay, next.
A 14-inch locust, and 2 fir trees, one at 10 and one at 20.
Okay.
The one fir tree, the 20-inch, is to allow sight distance. It's the only tree that would be along the visible site, so we're going to take that down.
What do you mean sight distance?
Well, we're putting a new driveway in.
Uh-huh.
And in order to get our 280 feet of sight distance down the road, there is this fir tree right here that could block vision, so we're going to take it down.
Okay.
The other ones are in the footprint of the driveway, which is here, here, and here. And this locust is in close proximity. It's probably going to die anyway, and the same with this fir tree right here. Those are all the other trees are well out of the, we're showing tree protection around all the trees in the upper perimeter of the property that could be affected. So they will be protected with, and also around in here. And all the rest of the silt fence protection will be on the lower end of the
Can you
project.
show the tree protection again?
Tree protection is right there on here. And
What
then
is that?
this whole border of trees, there's a whole bunch of pine trees along the edge of the property. So since we're going to be in close proximity, we're going to extend tree protection from here all the way out to the street.
It's not, but that's showing?
Yes.
Okay, I see it.
And then there's tree protection around this little grouping of trees in here. All the stormwater management is shown to be right here. It's an open lawn, so that's unrestricted. There's nothing in its way. So the upshot is there's 6 trees coming down out of about 35 that are on the property. 6. 2 trees are small. They're about 3 inch. They're going to be relocated because they're ornamental trees. They are nice trees, and they can be easily moved.
So they're not being removed?
They're being relocated.
Yes. I think you're counting them for some.
No, there's only 6 being removed,
I know.
2 relocated.
And can you show us the replacement?
I'm not projecting any replacements, at least not, unless you're going to require me to.
Yeah, at least one is a heritage tree.
Right.
The ordinance.
The 30-inch.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
6 replacements right there.
6. So we will need to put 6 2.5-inch caliber trees
Well,
in.
and then you have a 20-inch, which is 3 trees.
Okay.
I think have you been watching our previous, we've talked about landscape plans and,
Okay.
replacement formulas. So that's what we're all about here.
I didn't expect that anything over or under 30-inch would be a replacement tree, only the heritage tree.
No.
You've been to numerous meetings here. I think this one's going to have to come back in front of us
Yeah.
at the August meeting.
Yeah, I would agree. We can
Thank
give you the tree replacement formula,
All right.
and then from there, you can use that to determine the number of trees, and then you can show us where they're planted and what type of trees you're going to plant.
Just to give you, 30 inches is 6 replacement trees, 19 to 29, which you have a number of there, 3 replacement trees, 2 being large canopy. So it's all in our ordinance. And then you would show us, give us a landscape plan showing, you would show us the species and caliper of the canopies you're putting in and your other trees, whether they're understory or whatever. The species, and then show on your landscape, that we need a landscape plan to show where you're putting them.
Okay.
If you don't think you can fit them all in, it looks like you probably can in this.
Oh, yeah, we can fit them in.
Yeah. Then you can donate to the Shade Tree Fund.
Okay.
In lieu. So we will table this based on the whole replacement issue being itemized. Okay?
Agreed? Thank you.
Thanks. (11) Wellwyn Road. So we'll keep this, well,
I don't think we need to, because I assume he'll give us that
yeah,
back, plus
unless
the
we,
whole landscape.
unless we want
drawing.
to, I think it'd be helpful to keep it
Okay.
in case we want to look at we didn't really look at the removals in the, well, if everybody's, I'd say bring it back, just to be safe. I'll bring mine back.
Good evening. My name is Pete Kokonis, and I work for Site Engineering Concepts. We have 11 Wellwyn Road. It's an unimproved lot. We're proposing a single-family home and driveway. And as you can see, it's one lot. There's a drip system. There's also a stormwater infiltration bed. The lot has steep slopes and quite a few trees. We did our best to limit disturbance, but due to the stormwater and due to the sewer, or the drip system, and due to the grading required in steep or almost steep slopes, we do have to disturb some trees. And,
How many are you taking out?
There's, I believe there's 27 trees that are coming down. And we have the tree protection fencing shown. It's an X with the line. And I'll just point it out to you here. It comes along here. And then we have some here. And then all the way up here. So basically, I mean, wherever the woods are, we have tree protection fencing.
Where's your construction? You coming up through the driveway for construction?
Yes, yeah, the driveway. We have a tree chart summary. So I guess it's a little small. I apologize for that. But it shows each tree, all 27 trees. Shows the caliper of the tree, and then it shows the proposed non-large canopy trees that are for replacement, as well as the proposed large canopy trees per the formula of the township. So there's 39 proposed non-large canopy trees and 12 large canopy trees as replacements. So there's, I guess, 27 trees that are coming out and 51 replacement trees. I think there's 4 trees which are 30 inches or greater, and those are located, we really can't avoid those. There's really nowhere on the lot that you could put the house to avoid heritage trees. One of them, we actually have something from Shriner Tree Care. It's a 54-inch beech, which is right in the center of the tree. And that's actually a hazardous tree, which needs to come out. I wanted to just give that to you. That's actually still included on our tree replacement. But that tree, and then there's another heritage tree, which I'm pointing to here. And again, we're doing minimum grading behind the house, necessary to grade in the house. And I think there's 3 trees, heritage trees back there that have to come out. But otherwise, we have a pretty tight limit of disturbance around the house and the driveway. So yeah, we're just trying to protect as many trees as we can. And then in green on the plan, we show the locations of the trees. Again, it's heavily wooded. There's an open space here on the west side. Otherwise, we're just trying to infill it, close to the property line where the canopy isn't as thick.
And why, can you just explain more why those 3 heritage trees need to come out because of the grading you had mentioned?
Yes, because it's somewhat steeply the entire lot. There's actually there's steep slopes which are 20 and greater, and then there's slopes that are like 14 to 20 and 8 to 15 or 8 to 20. And in order to get the house in there and to grade it, and I think we even might be doing 2-to-1 grading behind the house, minimizing as much as possible. They still have to come out. Basically, anywhere you would shift this house on the lot, there's going to be trees over 30 inches that would have to be removed. And there's really no other place to put the house either when you look at the drip field and the stormwater bed, and then there's a replacement area behind the house as well, replacement septic area.
Why in the letter does it say the proposed number of trees was around 120?
I don't know. I saw that. I think that's maybe the amount of trees on the property. I didn't talk to the arborist myself.
Okay, the tree summary chart, that's the trees being removed?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and you're saying 27, that says 39.
No, that's proposed replacement trees, non-large canopy. Yeah.
And in the
So
formula,
where's the number to be removed? So if that's the number of proposed...
Basically, it's each tree. So like the first tree is a poplar. It's an 18-inch caliper, so 1 tree is required. And then if you go down to, say, the maple is a 32-inch tree, so it has 4 non-large canopy trees as replacement and 2 proposed large canopy trees as replacement.
yeah.
So basically, it's the tree and then the amount of replacements. And then down in the tree legend, we show a Norway spruce and London plane tree for the 2 types of trees, the canopy and the non-canopy.
So how many canopy trees are you taking out?
30 inches or greater. There's, I believe there's 4, one of which is the one that is a hazard tree.
And we were just saying, it looks like you have that one, the 54-inch beech, factored in for a replacement of 6 trees, including large canopy.
Yes, yeah, I prepared this table before I had that letter. We had the letter from the arborist.
So that probably would not be necessary.
Well, that really is not the way the ordinance is written. The ordinance does not say anything about excluding heritage trees from replacement if they're, doesn't say anything about that.
But
we in some cases look at that in terms of specific situations for mitigation, but the ordinance itself does not say that. But this heritage tree is in the footprint, and it is.
But we have previously decided that you know, if the applicant wanted to, they could do it in 2 phases. You could simply remove the 54-inch beech, it's in decay, you wouldn't have to do any replacements, and then everything else would be phase 2. So rather than make folks come here twice, we've taken that into consideration. And perhaps this is all a moot issue if you're planning to replace them anyhow and you're fine with that, and you want to put in these additional 6 trees.
I mean, you know, given how many trees are on the site and getting them to survive, I think the applicant would like to have less trees if that was possible. Just because we're planting trees in woods and a mature,
And the
mature wooded
applicants
area.
are already going to be, they're already accounting for, you know, take those 6 trees out, they're already putting 45 trees on the property. So I agree and would be okay if we give a hardship and remove the 6 trees as indicated by Schreiner's letter.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that the ordinance does not at all exempt trees, heritage trees being removed, really for any circumstances.
But it does allow for a waiver if you get a letter from an arborist to indicate that it's a hardship if it's in decay.
Well, we can
or
look
if
at that,
it's-
but what we've been doing is we've been automatically disregarding, and now it's out in the community, we automatically disregard. And we're going to have a lot of situations where trees are very questionable, very salvageable. And we have people taking out trees for things like split trunks. And if you go around this community, you'll see hundreds and hundreds of tremendously beautiful heritage trees that are 60, 70, 80 years old that are split trunks. You can get an arborist to write, I want to take that down. It's a hazardous tree, just because it has a split trunk. Just go around sometime and take a look at the gorgeous trees that we could lose if people came in here and said, I'm going to take this tree out because it's a split trunk. And we're not going to ask for any replacement for that because it was some arborist said that's a hazardous tree, or any split trunk tree is a hazardous tree. We're getting backed into a corner here. The ordinance does not say that there's any reason for not replacing a heritage tree. That is a 54-inch beech that will no longer be here. And the idea of the ordinance is that we protect our canopy, and that if a heritage tree comes out, that other heritage trees go in, hopefully at the replacement value. The only thing we've done is allow mitigating circumstance. I mean, if you have a property owner that has no room on their property, they have a tree that's really not in that bad a shape, but they're afraid of it, we can agree to let them have one replacement, something like that. But we don't just waive it completely.
But we do also want residents to be safe. So I think the township does allow, if you have a heritage tree and it's in decay, we don't want it to fall.
No, I'm
and
not
hurt-
saying we're not
and
going to
hurt someone.
remove it.
Right, so, but I do
If they
think-
feel it's any hazardous tree, a person can remove it. They can remove it even if it's not hazardous.
I know. Yeah, so what do we want to do here?
I think we should get the full replacement on this.
I don't agree with that proposal.
I was at the site today, and you could not walk through this site without, you couldn't walk through it. It's that thickly treed. I mean, it's like, seriously, it's like a woods. It's like a deep woods. And so I don't know how they're going to squeeze a lot of trees in.
Well, do you have a landscape plan for the replacements?
It's sheet 2 of the plan set. We show all the locations of the proposed trees. They're in green, the green circles.
Yeah, sure. Well, they're in there.
What I'm saying is, someone mentioned, I think Jake mentioned that there's so many trees on the property now to make this point drive this point home about they have to live by the formula.
No, I'm making the point that we don't automatically exempt.
No, I think it's
That's my point.
case by case.
Okay? I'm not talking about, I'm saying we don't, it's gotten into the public domain, it's gotten into our protocol that if somebody has a hazardous tree, we don't replace, period. Automatic. And it's not automatic. It's based on how we look at the overall situation if we want to grant.
Right. So I think what we're proposing is to look at this situation as a one-off. They have a wooded lot.
I'm gonna have no problem with this. I have no
Okay, then,
problem with this.
can we move on and approve this as proposed? What you've given us here today, with the exception of that the 54-inch beach does not have to be replaced per the formula because it is indeed a wooded lot, and if you did it in 2 phases, it wouldn't require replacement. Is that okay?
No. It's just that it's okay for us to move on because our commission approved waiving it for this case, not because of the 2-stage thing.
Yeah, I mean.
The 2-stage thing has nothing to do with it.
At the end of the day, we're where
Because
we wanna be
if they
at.
came in just for that tree, we would still have a right for replacement, to ask for replacements. If he came in just for that tree, and he would have to come in for that tree to remove it. So we would still have a right to ask for replacements. And as a matter of fact, if there wasn't a house being built there and they came in, I think we should get plenty of replacements for that tree. It was taken down. Like I said, that could be a split tree.
I understand. My
Okay.
understanding of the ordinance was different, that if a tree is in decay, that you can
not
take
in the
it down and
ordinance.
you don't have to replace it. But in either case, so that we can allow everybody to move on, we'll take this offline, but it sounds like what you're proposing is approved with the exception that you do not have to replace the 54-inch beach because you have a wooded lot.
Is there any other questions about this?
No.
Tree protection, we looked at that? Well, I know you showed us the tree protection. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, so we are going to waive replacement for the 54-inch beach based on the commission's decision. But otherwise, a replacement. So that would change that replacement formula? You had 39, right?
Correct. So there would be 4, we would take out 4 of the non-canopy trees, large canopy trees, and 2 of the large canopy trees. So it'd be a total of 6 trees less.
Right. So
it'd be 30, 35, and 10.
Yep, 35 and 10.
$35 and 10. Okay? All in favor?
Yes. Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
.683 Conestoga Road.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Thomas. I'm the project landscape architect. This is for the Emerson Group. We're on Lancaster Avenue. If you look at this, I want to just give you a location to understand the property.
I think we're out of order here.
Oh,
Is this 683?
683 Conestoga Road.
oh, I'm sorry. Oh, it's okay. Oh, I thought it was next.
Oh, shoot. It's okay.
Good evening,
Hi.
Good evening, Mark Vieira, Devon Design Build. Here to represent the owner for 683 Conestoga Road, which is the proposal for the existing ranch home and the new single-family dwelling, which is going to be rebuilt on the existing footprint. Homeowner has had arborists out and was adamant about saving all the trees. Most of them tulip poplars, I think, but there's a 48-inch one in the front, which is,
Yeah, I see it.
okay, visible right there.
Yeah.
Hopefully that clears up a little for you. All the tree protection fencing is noted with the line with a square. Limited to disturbance is the dotted line. And there is an existing driveway, which is, because of the split rail fencing around the property, is our only means on and off the property, which is, I think, a good thing for the construction sequence.
Can we get that pulled
Sheet are
up a
you
little?
on?
I'm sorry, sheet 4.
Sheet 4. Okay, got it. All right, could you start over again on that sheet, please?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Existing ranch home is in the same position as the new dwelling that's shown there. That is going to be demolitioned, and the new single-family structure would be built on the same footprint, give or take, I think, a couple 100 feet. And the tree protection fence is noted in the line with the squares. No trees are to be removed. The property's protected. Well, the property has a split rail fencing around it, and as of now, the only entrance is through the driveway, which will stay during construction process. So that should minimize any equipment, you know, all over the lawn or property, as noted. Proposing being a ranch home, which I've done in the past, a lot of the demolition can be done by hand or, you know, small equipment. I think the only major piece of equipment that would ever be on the property may be an excavator at the time of digging the new existing foundation. Most of the, or not the new existing foundation, but most of the basement is it's a full basement already, so I think that's why we're only at 450 cubic yards for building an entire new structure.
Where is the tree that's going to be removed?
There are no trees to be removed. I think my challenge is to show you all the tree protection fencing, but our challenge will be that, you know, you can see where all that tree protection fencing is. We have a tight space to work in with the only on and off the property is via the construction entrance, which is the existing driveway.
Can you show us that?
Yes, sir. Right here is the existing driveway. And the existing ranch is right here. The arborist, with the letter that you have from the arborist, basically said the only thing he might encounter, or we might encounter, is as we're digging the new foundation, if we come across some roots, you know, obviously don't rip them, you know, cut them clean, and, you know, even treat them with, I forgot this.
Yeah, roots.
The roots. That's what he proposed, because he's been out there and didn't think any of the trees had to come down, and the homeowner was quite adamant about trying to keep them all.
Well, that's great. We appreciate it.
Well, yeah. I think it helped that the house is
Yeah.
being built on the same footprint.
Yes, sure.
It's just, it's been inhabited, or uninhabited for a year now, so
Okay.
they finally got around to prints and moving forward.
Any questions?
No.
There's one tree that I would be especially careful about, and it's where your garage is. There's a 48-inch
That's the big one.
tulip poplar, and that's really close.
It's
to-
very close.
To
And
what,
that's the main one that the arborist came out and educated us on. If you encounter even a 3-inch root or anything, you gotta cut it clean or call them out and
Yeah.
give us direction.
and the other thing I'd ask for is, and I don't know how this works out, but you end your tree protection fencing on the driveway before the neighbors. The neighbors have two really large, beautiful trees just on the other side of your driveway, I mean, right up against it. And
Are you right there?
yeah, it's down toward Conestoga. That's
Oh,
it.
I do
That's it.
see. Yes, I do see where the,
So those trees they're not yours, but they're so close to the driveway that, like, if there's some way to protect, I don't know.
I've got enough tree protection fence going in. I mean, what's probably another
Yeah.
40 feet.
I think those are trees you don't want to lose,
Well, absolutely. And I am,
even though they're not the owners.
Which ones are you talking about, Leon? Just because we do.
It's on page,
42-inch and then 36-inch.
it's on sheet 4, Jack?
Yeah, and I see it, the 34-inch, that doesn't say what kind of tree.
Right, 36 inch.
the notes are in the property, of the neighbor's
It's right
property.
on the property line, isn't it?
It's pretty tight to it.
Yeah, I think it's suggested the page from here. Oh, no, I'm sorry, these two.
These two.
Yeah, and you see our fences here? So he was wondering if we would continue the site showing this way.
Yeah, in these situations where you're on a neighbor's property, or where you're going into the root system of a neighbor's tree, our protocol has been that you contact the neighbor
Yes.
and let them know what you're doing, and
And we have spoken with the neighbor, and I guess, even with my limited disturbance, other than the only thing, equipment coming in and out, I guess, would be, I mean, it's a wide enough driveway, but you're right. I mean, 15 feet away is the root system.
Yeah, you want to put fence protection there.
Just tree protection that
Yes.
down the split rail fence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a split rail fence.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, post and rail fence.
Yeah, but you have room to put.
But the
tree
canopy's
protection
still over
further
it.
in, don't you?
Yeah, I can put it on the other side, along the driveway even.
Yeah.
Because the canopy does come over that
Yeah,
disturbance.
that's just because, construction vehicles will, if you don't have it there, they might drive over that. And impaction is one of the #1 causes of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if there's a chance that a construction vehicle could go off and just impact your neighbor's trees, you
Mhm.
want to have that tree protection there.
Okay. I'll ask the engineers to add that, down that line.
Okay. Good point. Anything else? Any other questions?
I do know the neighbor, and they brought to my attention, there's about a 20-inch tree that's like on the property line, but he says it's in pretty bad decay, and it's already broken their fence, a couple branches.
Uh-huh.
And I just said I would take it up with him, or obviously with you guys. I didn't know how to approach that, since it's
on
almost
his
like he
property
wants
or
us to take
theirs?
it down, but it's on her property, and I guess I'd have to go through those chain of command. I just spoke with him tonight.
Yeah, that wouldn't be us.
Like I said, it was,
Yeah.
he showed me a picture of it, and it's in pretty bad shape, which I don't
Yeah.
think anyone noticed it because it's like on the property line.
Yeah, if they're giving you, yeah. I don't want to speak
Okay.
on it, but you have the right to cut down any branches on your side of the property.
Mhm.
So you could do that for them, that's for
Okay.
sure. But you'd have to, the insurance-wise and everything, you'd have to figure that out with them.
Yeah, that's fine.
Any other questions?
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for protecting those trees. We
Yeah.
appreciate that.
The homeowner license.
Yep.
Now Lancaster Avenue.
Okay, one more try.
Okay, and you must be,
Lisa Thomas.
Lancaster
Black and
Avenue?
Thomas Panzak. Huh?
what's your address?
The address, it's the Lancaster Avenue.
Lancaster Avenue, right?
Yep. I'm with Black and Thomas Panzak. I just wanted to give you an overall view as to where the site is.
Were you on last one? Hold on just a second so I can find your plans.
You don't have this in your pile. This is just,
We don't have it.
you don't have this in
Oh,
your
that,
pile.
okay.
This is just for extra fun.
You have something, right? Did you guys find anything in this? No?
I think you have it in your hand right there.
This?
Yes. I have extra copies if everybody needs more.
Yeah, I'm looking for the address. Okay, there it is. Got it.
Okay?
Thank you.
The owner, the Emerson Group owns 409. It's purchased 411, and it's purchased 413. The proposal is to remove 411 and to connect the two buildings.
I'm sorry. Move 411 where?
The proposal is to remove 411
Okay.
and to connect 413 to 409.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
This is our demolition plan. Here's the 409 that they're retaining. And you can see with the hatching, all the asphalt and the building that are being removed. What I've done is I've highlighted in yellow the trees that are proposed for removal.
We don't have this either, right?
I think you have that right. Is that right?
Is this it?
It was attached to the letter. It should have been attached to your
Oh.
letter.
Okay, got you. It's hiding.
Okay, I have extra copies if anybody needs an extra copy.
Got you. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Where my hand is Lancaster Avenue. All of the trees that exist on the lot that are between Lancaster Avenue and the buildings will be removed. And I'll show you on the landscape plan, there's parking that is going to go in front of the buildings. The trees range from, at the largest, I've highlighted it. Right here is a 42-inch maple. We have some elms. We have some hawthorns, Japanese maple, and cherry. It's a total of 10 trees to be removed. And to the right-hand side of the plan is the list of trees to be removed right here and the quality. The 42-inch maple is right along Lancaster Avenue on the corner. And it's, unfortunately, it was recently pruned for utility purposes, so it looks worse than it did before. The reason that, and I'll show you on the landscape plan, the reason that that's being removed is because of the access to the site, the existing access that's going to remain, and the change in the sidewalk along the frontage of the street.
Can you show us again where that 42-inch maple is?
Yes.
So it's near 409?
Yes, this is 409.
Okay.
The trees along the rear of the property line at the top of the drawing, right here, along the back, will all be preserved and protected. We've spent a lot of time talking to the neighbors behind us, and that's why I have this plan here. You can see that there's the apartment buildings, the ironwork apartment buildings behind our site, which is right here. And those trees are highly coveted by the neighbors. They're mature trees. They want to keep them. We'd like to keep them. And we spent some time talking to them in order, for their screening and their buffering. The trees are, I even hate to say it, but they're ashes. And there's a spruce and some maples and a mulberry, cedars.
But you're not removing them?
We are not removing them. They're in an area that's not going to be disturbed, and we don't want to remove them. We like the buffer.
One thing you might want to think about with the ash trees is if they don't have the yellows and they don't have the emerald borer now, and you can tell by the canopy, treat them.
Okay.
Or at least consider that, because it's not going to be long before those ashes are
Right.
gone. If
Okay.
they get
Yeah, I'll raise that with the owner. Thank you.
Especially that 36-inch ash.
And can you show us again, I'm sorry, why the 42-inch maple has to come out?
The next plan will help explain that.
I really think the smaller ashes, you might just want to replace them, really, because they're not going to make it. It costs so much to treat them. They're just little. I don't even think they fall in our. Let's see. Anything under 6 inches is not protected by us. So the 5-inch ash, I mean, if you took,
So there's
if you
one
took any
fi-
out, you'd replace them anyway, right? Because you want that buffer there.
The people behind us don't want us to touch the trees.
Right.
And that's been, we've been working very carefully and quite a while with them, and we've also been in front of the planning
But they
commission.
don't know they're going to die.
I think they do.
You
We've
think they do?
discussed, we have had a lot of discussions with them about this.
Yeah.
Several.
Does it cost less for smaller trees, John, to protect them?
It's per inch.
Per inch?
Per inch, yes.
So how much would it be to, like, say, for a 6-inch ash?
Well, it's about $15 per inch.
And there's no guarantee that that'll protect them.
No.
For
It's about 90%.
90%. How much per inch?
15.
So, I mean, a tree that small, I mean, you could.
I think it's up to her.
Yeah, it's up to us.
I don't think,
Thank you.
I would,
The neighbors, we are
Yeah.
working with them.
Yeah.
We want to be a good neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
And they like the
Nothing wrong with
trees,
that.
and we want to keep the trees.
Yeah.
This is our landscape plan, and this helps you better understand what's going on in the site. Here are the two existing buildings that we're keeping, and then the buildings are being connected together, so it's one building. So the ash is right about here, and today there's a retaining wall there.
you mean the maple?
I'm sorry, the maple.
Okay.
The township has a plan along Lancaster Avenue, this area, where they're showing adjusting the sidewalk locations all along the space, and there would be a 2-foot verge created. So the sidewalk is being removed off of the curb and being pushed further into the site. And what you can see here is this green strip is showing the proposed new 2-foot wide verge. The sidewalk is the brown, and that is, it's moving further in. So moving everything in is causing increased grading, and that's what's requiring the ash to be, the maple to be removed. And it's in very poor condition based on the recent pruning. Additionally, and it's located right in this area where the grading is. Additionally, the opening of that area is being refined, the driveway opening. So what we're doing is we're replacing the trees. We have street trees proposed, new street trees proposed all along the frontage of Lancaster Avenue. We're showing the pink is understory trees, ornamentals, and then we have shade trees located in the parking lot. On our plan, you all have this plan, correct? The bottom chart talks about the replacement trees and what we're providing and how we're replacing it. So it's a total of 10 trees to be removed, 15 replacements required. And what we're proposing to do is to provide the 10 replacement trees on site and offer 5 replacement trees to provide it off-site per township direction. That's the last line below that chart. And we can change this to address it being a sum of money also, but it's a 5-tree donation to the township.
Yeah, that's the way it's the best way to go.
Sure,
It's just too
that's not a
complicated
problem.
for staff and everything to like have trees delivered.
Not
we
a
don't know.
problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it'd be 2,500?
Okay, not a problem.
And you are replacing the maple, right?
It's within the mix of all the trees here. It's a total of 15 trees.
Yeah,
on
but
the
you
whole-
are replacing that maple, that large maple.
Yes, it's part of the.
That's in the replacement form.
Yes, it's on this chart.
Okay.
You can see it's 6 replacement trees
Right.
for every 30 inches. Okay? Yes.
Right. Don't, I'm just taking to ask you because I'm a little short-circuited. I'm not to this meeting, but I trust you. And John takes a look at it. Okay. And existing trees on the property, we don't there's not too many existing trees on the property to protect, right?
Only along the back.
Just the back, and
There's trees along the front and along the back.
there's no construction going on the back there? Do you need fence protection for it?
I don't believe so. There's a retaining wall right there all along
Is it a
there.
retaining wall? Okay.
Mhm.
So tree protection isn't an issue? Any other questions?
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, wait, let's do a vote.
I do just have one quick question. The ones down here near Lancaster Avenue, they're all large canopy trees?
They're
correct?
I never can get this right. It's a Zelkova, Mushashino Zelkovas.
Okay,
Which is a shade tree.
yeah, that's fine. Great, thank you.
Okay.
And is that okay for that area, John?
Absolutely.
Is a good street tree, right? Yeah.
And there's also wires that we're being very conscious about, overhead wires
Yeah.
with this type of tree, that it's
Right.
not going to encroach upon the wires.
Good, good. Okay, any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Right. .372 Yorkshire Road.
Good evening. My name's Jim Norsini. I'm the principal for Norsini Builders. And the property in question is 372 Yorkshire Way. And I propose to demolish an existing single-family residence and put up another.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Yes, and then put up another single-family residence in its place. If we go to page 2 on the plans, we can see the existing footprint right here, and I propose to take down one 36-inch maple. That's on page 2. Page 3 is the proposed single-family residence that shows that that tree has to come down.
Is that X,
Yes.
Does that X show, so the tree you take it down, is that in the footprint?
Yes, if you go to page 4 of 6,
Yeah.
and you can see it's right where the patio is going.
Yep.
And that's the only tree that's proposed to go ahead and come down.
Okay. What's the current condition of that tree as we speak?
The current condition of that tree, I grew up in that house, so I'm very familiar with it. At a very young age, it was cut low, so right now there's shoots coming off like that. I don't know if you'd call it a, what we called originally a tree that's detrimental, but it has 4 shoots coming out.
I do.
And the proposal is to plant 6 replacement trees, and that's on page 5 of 6. And they would be located in the rear of the property.
Do you have a tree schedule specifying what those 6 trees are?
No, I do not. My engineer just put 6 replacement trees, minimum 2.5 DVH. So to answer your question, no, not at this time, but I could certainly provide that.
Are we
Yeah.
seeing tree protection?
I got a letter from engineering with the critique of my soil and erosion plan, and on that, they mentioned that we need protection around the trees, so they delineated that.
It's on the bottom of your plan there. If you move the plan up a little bit, you should have the detail. Right, yeah, right there, yeah.
Yeah, so I did get a response from engineering to go ahead and do that.
Okay,
But I was wondering about the fencing,
yeah, it's gonna have to show on the plan.
We're gonna need that to show on the plan.
Okay.
because
Tree
you're
protection has to show on the plan. for
a
the
60,
inspectors.
the 60 caliber deciduous tree on the left side. It's
Okay.
a little leaf linden. That tree is a treasure.
Right, I know.
A
it's
treasure. Like, you don't want construction vehicles anywhere
Yeah,
near
I
it.
forget, it's an orange something or the other.
Orange Osage?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a very, very interesting tree.
Don't
And I
stand
think that
under
was-
it when they're dropping though.
Pardon me?
I said, don't stand under it when they're dropping. Yeah, we need, so that, if we approve this, you won't have to come back, but you would have to
Okay.
submit the revised plans with the tree protection.
Tree protection
And
and
the
the
tree
type of trees?
schedule. Mhm.
Okay,
And now,
Okay,
the-
that's
four
fine.
of which, 4 of those trees would have to be canopy trees.
4 of them have to be canopy trees?
Large canopy. yeah.
Okay. Can the other ones be coniferous, perchance?
Yes.
Okay, they can, but 4
Yes.
has to be canopy
Yeah.
trees,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But, and then, so you'll have to put that on your schedule. You haven't, you're just showing them, which is good. You
Mhm.
just have to add to the schedule what you're planting.
Okay,
And even though ashes are on our schedule, obviously you don't want to plant ashes. I hope nobody even saw you one.
We're Virginia.
Okay.
And this shows the tree protection. So 3 things, show the tree protection, the revised, you show your schedule of the trees are planting, 4 of which have to be large canopy. Tree protection, anything else?
No, I think that's it, just those 2.
those 2
Those
things.
two?
Yep.
The schedule and the, okay, certainly will do that. And I can just put that on the new plan that I submit
Submit
to
that to
soil and
Township,
erosion,
right,
and that'll be
Township engineer,
sufficient?
yeah.
Okay, certainly. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye,
Okay.
Thank you very much.
thanks. Carl.
105 Brebank, am I pronouncing that right?
Braybank.
Brebank?
I'll start. I'm the homeowner, Matt Nannon. I live at 105 Braybank.
I'm sorry, speak up a little, please.
My name's Matt Nannon. I'm the homeowner at 105 Braybank. Currently, we just purchased the property a few months ago. The property has a pond existing on it, which we plan on removing. There's a whole plan for that, but the bottom line is we want to convert the pond to property land for my children. Basically, there's pretty much a pretty big slope from the home that you can see here down to where the pond is. So we have a grading plan to kind of graduate that plan so that we can make it more of a yard. Unfortunately, as part of that plan to remove the pond, there's trees within the plan. Initially, we had proposed to have trees 1 and 3 because they're in the grading plan.
Can you show me the pond on this?
Number 1.
Where's the pond?
No, the pond?
The
Can you
pond's
just-
right here.
In the light
within
gray?
here.
Yeah, I guess so. Mhm. That's helpful, thank you.
The pond is only 2,200 square feet in size, and it's held in place by a 2-foot-high, non-regulated dam. We actually have email correspondence from DEP clarifying that this facility is exempt from any kind of state permitting because of the size of the dam and the drainage shed to it falls under the exemption, and it could be removed without a permit from the state.
So the plan from
And the township too, I guess. So. What about the township?
We'll address that through
Okay.
the grading permit process.
So the plan for removing, because there is still water that comes in, there will be like a pipe that's put in so that the water can then drain into the creek that's behind it. But obviously, where the pond is located here would be basically all property and land, grass, that type of area for usages typically if yards are used. But within this grading plan, you see that we originally I had come up with 5 trees to remove, but I'm kind of debating that maybe I don't want to remove one. I don't want to replace it with 3 of them, given there's this whole tree line along the road here. There's a retaining wall right next to the pond. If you look at this drawing, there's a retaining
What sheet
wall.
are you doing on showing the removals on?
Sheet 1.
Sheet 1?
You have sheet 1, which is here with the removals, and then there's the full tree plan, which is number 3.
Can you show us the removals?
Yes.
What sheet are you on for the removals?
We'll go off of sheet 1. It's a little less complicated.
Okay.
Sheet 1, and I'll put X's on the trees. They are listed as TBR. Tree number 1, which is a 11-inch maple. Tree number 3, which is down near the actual edge of the pond itself, is an 8-inch diameter maple. Tree number 16, which is slightly outside of our limited disturbance, is a 18-inch diameter mulberry. The reason why he wants to remove that one is because there is another, I believe, maple number 15 behind it that's getting choked out by it. And we prefer to let that maple grow, and it's not going to do well under the mulberry as it sits right now.
There's also another maple right next to the number 15 that's less than 6-inch diameter, but it's beginning to grow as well. That, with the mulberry, with the size of it, it's kind of shows more closer, to be honest.
The tree that he has decided second against and tried to actually preserve is tree number 4, and I'll circle it. Tree number 4 is actually a 22-inch diameter mulberry that actually sits behind. There's an existing 4-foot-high retaining wall on the south side of the pond that these trees sit in between. This tree is down near the end of that wall, but still sits behind the wall. The only other tree that is in question that he's trying to preserve, and I don't know exactly how the Shade Tree Commission approaches this tree right here is a twin maple. He is preferring to try to save that tree. I actually have a photo that shows how that tree sits pretty high up on the bank, and even though the area is going to be regraded, it's sitting in a location where the contractor should be able to minimize disturbance under the drip line.
Oh.
So Again, number 4 really sits behind the wall, and then there's a twin maple just to the west of it that he would really like to try to save, even though there's going to be some grading in that area. So I don't know exactly how you approach that with tree protection when you're trying to save something.
So you're not showing all the trees, you're just showing,
There's another drawing with all the trees. It's number 3 in your packet. We can show you that. as well. Yeah. Yes.
So that's it. Everything that's between the wall and Lancaster Avenue, it's about a 4-foot-high wall that goes from grade down to the water elevation. Those trees sit behind it, and the root zones are actually behind the wall and going up towards Lancaster. Number 1, 3, and 16, yes.
And number 11's dead, so we would remove that trunk as
Yeah,
well.
there is a number 11 identified. It's a large maple diameter. It's literally just a straight. It's a pole. There's actually no branches coming off of it. Looks like at one time it broke, snapped years ago, and it's just a straight pole.
So the longer term plan is like, and I can show you number 3 where all the trees are. I apologize. Yeah. The 2 here we're trying to save. There's a series of trees along here up on the retaining wall, so it kind of has already natural protection afforded to it because the wall is 4 feet high. Most of those trees are, like I said, run right along Route 30. Our
where's the
intent-
wall?
The wall is right along the pond line. You can draw.
There's a stone, 4-foot-high stone wall.
Okay.
It runs
So
right along the pond
Dotted
line.
lines there?
The dotted lines, yes. So our intention, being the homeowner, is obviously, we'd probably like to have less visual of Route 30, even though these trees are very large. We probably will be planting like other arborvitae and other types of things along there, depending on how that looks. We realized in removing the other 3 trees that we need to plant, I guess, 1 for each of them. Which my guess is we'll probably, once we grade the property line along here, we'll probably try to put it on this side. We haven't drawn it in here yet because we haven't quite seen the visual of what that's going to look like.
Well, if you're only taking 3 trees out, you're not required to come
Oh.
before the board and
Okay.
you can put up,
My guess is we still will be planting other trees.
That's great.
But like I said, the sight line, we haven't quite figured that out, given we haven't graded and determined what that looks like yet. So the trees along this line, along Route 30, have a natural boundary. I guess we need to draw in a little bit of shade protection for the trees on the backside up here.
Yeah, my only question would be is we do have trees that are outside of our limited disturbance, but the sense I'm getting from hearing the other applications is because we're in such a tight space, you're probably going to be looking for us to add protection around them so that the contractor doesn't inadvertently.
Yes.
So as part of the grading permit application, we would include the tree protection fencing as part of the completion of the grading permit application.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of these pond removals, so
Yeah.
it's probably, I don't know about you, but I'm having trouble visualizing what the work's gonna be. First, you take the dam down first, right?
Yeah, it's only 2 foot high. Basically, the way the regulation works with DEP is because it's an unregulated dam, you can breach the dam.
Yeah.
Without a permit.
Okay.
Once the dam is breached and the water
Just
is
flows
no
out.
longer, is no longer there,
Yeah.
you no longer have a regulated surface.
Right.
And therefore, it's an unregulated feature. So
Right.
Is the
So then you
pond-
fill in?
Is the pond stream fed?
It's fed from a storm sewer culvert at the far, I guess you'd call it eastern corner. And that culvert comes, it's all street water from the southern side of.
So then you're gonna fill it in? You're gonna fill it in where the pond was?
The pipe's gonna be extended just enough to make sure that it still properly drains.
Right, right. But where the pond was, you're gonna fill that in, right?
We're going to fill that in with
It'll be lawn.
lawn and soil.
Okay, so you fill that in. So you'll have to bring the soil in, right?
Correct.
And you'll bring that in through where?
I believe the contractor is going to end up coming in from the driveway. He has a specialized contractor, Toth Brothers Clearing and Dredging. They have specialized equipment and logging mats to be able to traverse through some very tight spots. And they've got specialized equipment and hose that have extended reaches.
Well, we just need to see where that's going and what trees that goes by.
Well, actually, I mean, to be quite frank, I've actually also gotten approval from my neighbor who's on this side of the property, which is not in this drawing. They're not part of the original plan. They have a driveway that goes all the way down along the back. They were willing to give us a right of way because they would really love us to remove the pond, given mosquitoes and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a driveway that goes basically almost all the way down to Route 30. So, presuming that the timing works and all that, that probably would be the main plan in terms of access. Now, there are some trees on their property that maybe you might be concerned with, noticeably number 12 and number 14. That is not my property, but is theirs. But if they would bring trucks down, maybe they're close, I don't know. But it's number 12 and 14.
Is this Plan 3, is this showing all the trees on the property?
All those greater than 6 feet, or 6 inches, sorry.
Excuse me?
All those that are greater than 6 inches, yes.
On the property?
Yes.
Yeah,
As well as a couple that are on my neighbor's property.
There is other landscaping that was installed when the lot was originally developed. There's evergreens. I got photos of this. They actually sit up on an above an upper retaining wall and up closer to the house, but that's it.
The house was just built a year ago, so.
So I still think we're going to need tree protection for like the 19-inch gum, the 17-inch maple.
Those actually are the only trees that are over in that vicinity. And those are the ones I was referring to that I figured I was getting the sense that even though it's outside my limited disturbance, that you're going to want that protected, so.
John, what we're talking about here is that they're talking about accessing this from the neighbor's driveway. So we're trying to look at tree protection, but now there's going to have to be a stipulation in this that this plan is approved only if you access through the neighbor's driveway, because if you access a different way, we're going to have to look at, we have to look at the tree protection, how that would be affected. Unless you want to give us a secondary, unless you want to put in tree protection for a secondary plan. I mean,
Why would they need to do that? Because you are going to just access the pond via your neighbor's driveway, right?
That is the plan.
well, but if they change that, I said if they change that plan.
If they change it, they can always come back with a new
That's what I said.
tree, right, but
That's what I said.
You're going to stay on the hard top the entire
That's what I said. They'll stipulate that
that's-
they
they're
have-
fine
they
the
have
way
to
they
use
are
the
now,
driveway.
yeah. We don't usually make people come up with backup plans while they're
I
here.
guess my only question is that.
Well, they
wasn't-
don't have official approval yet to come in through the neighbor's property. So that could,
Don't you?
anything could happen on that plan.
The neighbors said they were willing to do it. The
Yeah.
timing and everything else, obviously,
Yeah,
there's
sure.
contingent upon it. But one question I want to ask, though, to all of you is like, if they didn't give us approval and we had to come up with a second plan, what trees are going to be disturbed by coming down the other side?
We don't, that's what we're, I
There's
don't
no
know.
trees
We don't
over there.
know. We don't know where you're coming.
But there's no trees over there.
Okay, well, that's what you're telling us.
Okay, I got it, okay. I'm just trying to understand.
That's what we would be looking at. We would be
Okay.
looking at where they put that pads down,
Right.
what trees might be impacted. So
Okay.
I do see the mulberries over that area, isn't it? The 16-inch mulberry?
Yeah, the 16-inch mulberry actually sits over, there's actually a walkway that continues down. There's landscape steps and there's a walkway that's not clearly defined on here.
Yeah.
Like a landscape path
Right.
that continues down
Yeah.
the pond.
It might just be that simple, just protect that mulberry, that's
Okay.
all. But that's our job, is to look at that.
Okay. Well, if we need to change the plan, we'll do that.
If you do access to the neighbor's driveway, and we approve the plan, something happens to those trees, we don't want to be held accountable for approving the plan. So
Okay.
in writing to, we'll need to see a copy of the letter, or the agreement, that you'll have with the neighbor, and obviously there'll be an agreement, because there's damage to our driveway, I suppose, correct?
We haven't discussed it, but I mean.
No, but I mean, there are things that could occur. So in the realm of the entire project going through with the driveway,
Right.
it might be a good idea, with that interest, just to put quick fencing, protect those trees, and then later on, we can come back and say that you actually can. And I think
That's fine.
what Jack's trying to say.
Okay. That's fine.
And if I could really quickly here, I don't know how well this is going to show up, glare, if there's going to be glare or not. Yeah, it's not that great. This right here is the stone wall. This is actually standing on the far lower end of the pond, looking back up kind of at an angle towards Route 30. This is the stone wall right here. You can see it goes along the entire perimeter, and all those trees sit up behind that wall. It's a lot clearer if you have to look on the screen.
Is that wall coming down?
No,
No.
the wall stays.
Okay.
Wall stays.
Try to keep my kids away from the 30.
Yeah.
And then just to show you the other one. This is looking up towards the house, at the pond, looking up towards, I guess, the front corner of the house. The pond is over here to the bottom left. You can see there are some smaller evergreens and shrubbery that's installed around the house. If the contractor did come in, there is room to come in. If we were talking about a secondary access, there is room to come down through here, but it would obviously be easier to come through the neighbor's property if he
Right.
can make that.
Is the mulberry showing there?
The mulberry is right here.
That's a retention basin up there, right?
And there's a basin over here to the right, yeah, it's over here.
It's on my property, but it's part of the community.
Yeah, so here's the mulberry, and then behind there is the maple and another small maple that it's referring to.
Right.
And then, if I find the other.
So you think we need tree protection there?
I don't think so.
Unless they came down that way.
Yeah, the only reason why you would have to put anything over here is if
Came
the
down.
contractor came down through here, but he would probably mat down through there.
Yeah, I'm just having a hard time visualizing when they bring in the soil, how much up from the pond the construction, the vehicles would be around that pond area to bring the soil in.
Yeah, and in fact, he has what are called Nikon dump trucks. They have 40-inch tires
Oh,
on
okay.
them. And he
Oh.
actually does a lot of golf course work. He can actually run across
Okay,
fairways.
right.
with
See, we
loaded
don't know
material.
this stuff.
Yeah. He's very specialized. And then
All right.
one other photo here I got for you real quick to show you what's on the other side of the other corner, if I can find it.
It's got better photos than I did when I lived there.
Well, I think we're okay.
Yeah, these are the other evergreens that are around the house that are on an upper
Right.
on an upper wall that shows up on the plan. But those are the actual grading will end up stopping at the base of this wall. These are the two trees, right? Well, actually, this is the one tree here. This one tree, I don't think qualified. This was under 6 inches, but this is the one. This is tree number 3.
Okay.
Maple right here.
But you're taking out less than 6 total.
At this point, we're only looking at 3.
Great, okay. All right, so I think we're okay. They're not taking out trees that fit into our formula, a number or a size that fit into the formula. This approval is contingent on you letting us know if that problem occurs with that driveway access.
Driveway access, yep.
You'll have to revise the plans, show tree protection, any tree that would be endangered in the access. We're fine with John looking at that if that.
And we can address that and include appropriate notations on the plan.
Yeah.
On the grading plan.
And we need to see some, I don't know necessarily why we would have to see the contract or the agreement.
No, I'm not saying, I'm saying for their best interest.
For, yeah.
For us, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to give us that would certainly be helpful. But you would have, but again, this approval is contingent on letting us know if that plan coming in through the neighbor's driveway breaks down.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
.372 Yorkshire Road. Is that it? Next?
409.
Oh, wait a second, I'm sorry. Did we do Yorkshire?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to turn the page. 409 Oak Lane, right?
That's me.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Cam Lacey from DCL Architects, and I'm here to tell you about Angelo Saggiamo's project here on Oak Lane. This is a grading permit, and I guess the real offender that got us over the line to come in here was the driveway replacement, or we're taking a piece out and then adding it. And the piece that we're taking out this is Oak Lane here, runs along kind of the northwest side of the house back to an existing garage and then a little shed area, and then there's a little bit of a turnaround here. And this is a kind of a meandering piece that goes right up against this really large sycamore, 47-inch, 47 and a half. And in order to replace or repave this driveway, we can't really do it up against this tree. We really wanted to save that. And the other thing that kind of led us to this solution was that this whole back area of this property and kind of along this area, 2 or 3 properties, is really prone to flooding. And so consequently, this garage is kind of rotten and getting ready to fall apart. So we're trying to move everything forward out of that plane and also be able to get back there and do the turnaround work that we need to do. So we looked at making this, coming into this wider expanse. So the trick here is that we wanted, in order to do this, we want to do this kind of last, but we wanted to use the existing driveway as kind of the construction entrance, but we have to protect this tree. So we were going to hand excavate the driveway section around the tree, put tree protection around it, and do a temporary stone gravelled area to get us back to here, so they could use this as kind of an access point to do all of their work. And then kind of the last thing they do is push this piece in and finish things off. Everything in yellow here are all the trees called out that are within the 6-foot or 10-foot, kind of band around the site. And the tree protection is the dark line with TP next to it. So you'll see, this rear area along these trees, and of course this big sycamore. And then the SF is the silt fence that goes along the whole side and the back and the side here around the soil stockpile. So we're far enough away from this piece, this sugar maple, to do what we need to do. We're really close to this little dogwood, and then these 2 hollies are the ones that we'd have to take out. So the idea would be that you can't really put tree protection around this one to do this work, but we want to try to save it. And if we can't, that's going to be a kind of a fallen soldier. But the idea would be to try to keep that when we're doing this through. But these 2, we would definitely have to remove. And really, this whole line, there's nothing on this line right now other than kind of wild growth at the moment. There's kind of a pseudo fence that's there. The owner wants to replace that fence with the neighbor and kind of do some nice plantings. The neighbor next door, it's sort of a double lot, so this is a large large green space. So I guess and the addition work is really in this area to the house, and there's a deck on that, and then this is a new garage with a kind of a shed off of it. So we're trying to tuck this and not get too far into the flood zone here. We're trying to pull that as far forward as we can and still have usable space and meet all the different codes for clearances and whatnot.
So the 1-story and 1.5-story, that's new construction there at the end of that driveway?
Yeah, this is a 2-story piece, this is a 1-story piece, and that's the deck. So that's the addition work. And then you have a 1.5-story garage, 2-bay garage, and then this little kind of a shed roof side storage area that's connected to it off of it.
So my only question is more so maybe to John and my colleagues around the 47-inch tree. if it's hand excavated and then there's the stones going around it in order to allow an egress path, will that likely protect the tree?
I'd actually have to see the tree, but what I would recommend, if you excavate around the actual driveway with a protection fence up, what I would recommend is you put a base layer of wood chips down so that you strip it away and don't have that compaction.
Okay.
Give it a little sponge?
Correct.
Gotcha,
Right.
okay.
Because my other question was, let's say hypothetically that isn't sufficient, then why not just lay down stones where the driveway is going to go and use that as your egress?
Well, we were considering that, and then we were thinking that we've got to do some stormwater management, rainwater retention, and we're probably going to end up doing that on that side, and we didn't want to compact that during construction. So I kind of wanted to see if there was a way we could sort of reuse a lot of it and kind of get away from that sycamore as best we could. And we may have to, the way I have it shown is, we may have to come further towards, the center of the, to make this really work. But when you start excavating, you'll kind of see, how high the roots are and so forth. So I think we'll be able to figure that out once we do it.
And go through more so the center of the lawn?
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause it's a tight site, so I think we'll probably using most of the site to kind of do staging work from. So it's not going to matter where that temporary goes, really. I was just kind of saying and also I didn't want to get too much of a curve in there, because then you get into trouble. You start to hit things when you get curves. So either the tree or the house will have something going on with it. So that's really the project. And also, I think we'd probably try to do a lot of this excavation of this existing garage. I think it's probably just a slab on grade without any footings, but we'd probably do a little bit of that by hand, just because we're close to some of these other trees back here, just to make sure we don't cut into anything.
As far as the dogwood, you're under our removal limit as far as it looks like it's going to be hard to save that dogwood there. We might want to transplant it.
Yeah, and we're going to do other planting, so
Yeah.
there may be that opportunity.
If it's real nice, you might want to that's small enough to transplant pretty easily. I don't think, I think you're going to spend less money to transplant it than to try to save it there. But it's up to you. But you're under our removal limit, so you could plan to replace that. It wouldn't be a problem. I mean,
Okay.
to take that out, that wouldn't be a problem for us. Any other questions on this? No? All in favor? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like the pictures. They were very helpful.
Oh, good, thanks. I was going to show them again, but figured you guys saw them.
539? Okay. 274, Bryn Mawr Ave?
Nobody here for Woodland? Nobody here for Woodland, right? All right, so we'll table that. We usually table if they're not here.
Brian, tell us if you have no trees, you're just moving soil. and
Oh, yeah.
go.
Totally.
I wish.
Never ends that way.
Who's making the coffee?
Breakfast, maybe.
All right, I'm Brian Madsen from Omni. We're the engineers for the project. We're here. Sheet 1 of the plans here shows the overall campus. The project area is centralized within the center of the campus. If we move ahead to, I believe it's sheet 4 of the plans. These are the existing conditions for the site. The building right now, it's called Federation Hall, is proposed to be removed, as well as a row of parking along the front of the building. There are 3 trees on this plan that are shown to be removed. There's a triple maple tree in the back corner of the building. There's a 33-inch spruce tree on the western side of the building. And then down on the other side of the driveway, there's a 7-inch dogwood. In addition to those trees, in this corner, there's a 28-inch redwood that is, it looks like it's mislabeled on the drawings. It's shown as being impacted with the triangle, but it actually is proposed to be removed. All right, moving ahead to sheet 5. This is the proposed grading plan. So there's a new parking lot in this area to provide adequate parking for the building. This is where that 7-inch dogwood is. It's very close to the parking area. It probably wouldn't survive construction. The 28-inch redwood that I talked about is adjacent to a new, there's a new ramp and a walkway along the front here, an ADA access way that provides access up to the building. There's a lot of grading. This area is proposed to be cut. So this tree should be shown to be removed on this plan. The triple maple tree that I talked about is at the corner of the building. And there's a new proposed patio along this side of the building where that 33-inch spruce is directly adjacent to that patio. As far as stormwater management, there's a series of inlets that are shown to be connected to an underground pipe system back behind the building, connecting to an overflow spreader. Looking at this plan now, what I would suggest is that we shift this spreader. We can move it all the way over to this existing swale area to get it away from this. There's an 84-inch poplar tree directly behind that spreader.
Can you go over that again now? You're thinking you should alter your plan to move the spreader there?
What I'm suggesting is, looking at this plan now,
Yeah.
is there's an 84-inch poplar tree here that we have an overflow, a bubble-up spreader relatively close to.
Right.
I think what I'm suggesting
Move
is that
that, yeah.
we shift the spreader over
East
here.
Campus is an arboretum, isn't it?
Yes, I believe so.
They used to have tours there for the elementary schools. Beautiful trees there. It was American College, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think that's, anything you can do to protect that 84-inch poplar.
Yeah.
So you're going to suggest moving that to the left, right?
Or even look into the feasibility of tying into this existing storm manhole if,
Uh-huh.
if there's capacity in that stormwater line. But
Okay.
I did notice that I did not see that there were tree replacement calculations on these plans. I did print out a few copies of tree replacement calculations if I should hand these out to everyone.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
These calculations are taking into account the 28-inch redwood to be removed.
They're not?
This does take into,
Oh, it does.
This does list the
Yeah,
28-inch
sure.
redwood as being removed.
Okay.
So based on these calculations, a total of 6 trees are being removed, so 13 replacement trees would be required, and 6 of them being large canopy trees.
And do you have them somewhere on one of these drawings, the new trees?
There is not a landscaping plan yet, no.
We're going to have to see that. This is a very, very special area, this campus. I've been there many times before. As a matter of fact,
Fine, just like you did before, you can send it over, and we can,
Right.
I can meet you out there,
Yeah.
and we can just walk and make sure.
Yep.
Okay.
Because on the left side of the proposed building, there's a moon maple, which is a pretty rare tree.
Oh, there's plenty of rare trees in this
And
campus.
that has
It's an
to be-
arborvitae.
There should be some protection around that.
Yeah.
It's not a huge tree, but it's quite a specimen.
Right. They have a Franklinian tree on that campus.
And I also thought the tree protection fencing, you might want to put it on all the way around where the parking is. The 29-inch pine isn't a great tree, but
Okay, let's
Okay.
focus in on what you talked about.
Yeah, so sheet 6 of the plans,
proposed parking.
oh, the proposed parking area you're talking about.
Area right in front of,
Tree protection is showing there, okay.
there's a line of it.
Right, so this blue line here is the proposed tree protection fencing. You suggesting we wrap it all the way around? Okay.
Come around, yeah.
So this plan shows, this red line is construction fencing that goes all the way around the limit of disturbance. Interior to that limit of disturbance, there is tree protection fencing shown in blue around the trees proposed to remain with inside that project area.
Any questions?
No.
Commissioner? All right, so the only stipulation is that you need to give us the planting, and, you know, like I said, we would, we would hope and request that, that the planting is, within the character of this campus and the arboretum that exists there, so. We'll be taking a close look at that, hopefully it's, in line with what the overall beauty of that campus is. So did you give how many on canopy? So you need
4.
6 large being canopy trees. We have them.
For some reason.
Like I say, we want to go with the full scope of replacement in this campus. 6 replacement trees, 4 being large canopy. 4 being large canopy.
No.
Okay, 6 being large canopy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
13 total.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you have to show us where they're going to be on your,
And the schedule.
Right.
on the actual landscape, and what you're replacing. And that'll come in, John. I think the tree protection look okay, everybody?
Mhm.
And so you're going to, additional protection around that 46-inch oak. Anything
Around
else?
that whole front side. Right.
Where the,
Mhm.
on the
Around the
parking lot?
46-inch oak and to the 29-inch pine, around that whole front side. Yeah.
Can you show me that again?
He's drawing it right now. Brian's drawing it.
Where is it? Show me
Brian,
again.
can you just point it out there one
Sometime.
more
Yeah,
time?
just in this area here.
Oh, yeah,
Just
yeah, sure.
exactly.
Connected
Okay, yeah.
along the front.
Mhm.
Okay. With those stipulations, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
All right,
Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on with that building.
They're tearing down that building, right?
Right, yep.
Because I was saying,
Jack, is it still American College or?
no, part of it, still part of it is still American College. The rest was bought by the Jewish Federation. And I was looking at that, I was running through there the other day, I was looking at that building, I said, they're letting that building go. I couldn't look at it. I said, what's going on here? So I'm glad they're gonna put something new in there, it's great. Okay. Who wants to volunteer to help me take my papers out of here?
Yeah. So in the
All right.
interest of time, can we table the trees removed without approval and the other items, since no one is here for them until the next meeting? The hazardous trees, everything from Q lower?
Well, if we don't have any objections on the hazardous trees, it won't take any time at all. As far as the trees removed without approval, there's nobody here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll put that back on, and, you know, I think it's better anyway to have that when we have more time and energy.
Mm-hmm.
But they were asked to come? They were all asked to
We're
come?
going to send every one of those people the trees removed without authorization, we're going to send them a letter.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just send them a fine, Laura?
No, we want to bring them in, we want to.
Yeah, I know, but
Especially like
if they don't
one-
come in, if they eventually don't come in, though.
Oh, if they eventually don't come in, yes.
I mean,
There
how-
might have been a little bit of confusion because the last one was canceled.
Right.
We couldn't get out.
I agree.
We had to transition with Trish.
I agree.
And all that stuff.
I agree, I agree. Yeah, give
We'll
it
give
a...
another shot.
Absolutely.
And if they
Mhm.
don't, one to do, we'll talk among ourselves and get a
Right.
fine together.
But the list of registered contractors, we put that on, what's that for? Just, I think we ought to,
Well, we just
Put
had
that
that,
out.
we had that one incident last week that you saw the correspondence on.
Yeah.
I got a phone call on Radnor Avenue there, moving a bunch of trees.
yeah,
The contractor called me, told me he's been an arborist and worked for numerous townships and knows this and that, and then I come to find out that he's not even registered with the township.
yeah,
So the board president, who was ignorant to the whole
yeah.
ordinance, not nice guy, thought he was told by his contractor that he was licensed.
So they'll be listed, they could be listed with this trees removed without approval for next month, right?
That's correct. But no, we're gonna implement a pretty hefty.
Fine on them.
Fine on them, yes.
Yeah, okay. But there, the work still stopped there?
It was done, yeah, it's done. The work, we had to clean off the limbs off the road because they were actually blocking the road. I stopped them, made them move all the brush until we got there.
How many trees did they take down?
I think it was a total of 7. Some of them were small.
Yeah.
But still, 6-inch.
Right.
And then there was one willow that failed and then layered.
Yeah.
Moved back up. It was all decayed. It still was over 30 inches, so I don't care if it was decayed or
Right,
not.
right.
We're a hazard. We need to know about
Yeah,
it.
right.
So that's where we're hammering.
Okay. All right, so yeah, we can work on our agenda for next week, next month. Okay. We approve the hazardous trees, all in favor? Okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I'm going to run to the bathroom.